Samples, canceled orders, and discounted orders of Ashley Furniture, all on sale here at Social Furniture on Charlotte Avenue. $300 nightstands now $99. $1,000 Ashley mattresses now $300. $200 bar stools now for $59. $1,000 sofas now $499, and recliners starting from $299. The best part is there's no waiting. Take home your new furniture today, or with Social Furniture's same-day delivery. They have 12 months same as cash. Hurry up and come down to Social Furniture's January clearance sale before it's gone. You don't want to miss these great deals. Visit Social Furniture on the west side at 5412 Charlotte Avenue or on the web at mysocialfurniture.com.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, broadcasting 97.5 Murfreesboro, 106.3 Williamson County,
ESPN
102.5 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. With Karen Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, ESPN 102.5 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube, and Facebook Live now, thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We are live today at Bridgestone Arena, which, of course, is presented by the Hermitage, hanging out here. Caroline is here today. How are you, Caroline?
Doing great. How we doing?
Outstanding. Ian is here today. How are you, Ian?
What up, what up?
Good. We are live today at Bridgestone Arena, as I said. Big game tonight, by the way. The Avs are probably, I don't want to sit here and say, like, okay, this team's the best team in the Central Division or that team's the whatever. But the Avs are honestly, like, if I had to say, okay, who's the best team in the Central Division, the Avs are probably the best team in the Central Division. Mm-hmm. And then, second after that might be the Predators. I think it's kind of, the Blues are in there, and Minnesota was pretty terrible for a while. They struggled some, and then they kind of got it figured out. But anywho, I mean, a big game. A big game at home against the Colorado Avs, no longer the Punch and Judy Avs by any stretch of the imagination. But that's kind of a big game. I do want to give a shout-out before we get going today. I got to give a shout-out to Max Hers, who will be on the call tonight on 102.5 The Game right here for the game. Max Hers wears so many hats at the radio station, does so many different things for the radio station, and has been here with us for a while now. He went to Vanderbilt, got to start doing some Vanderbilt stuff, and then started working at the radio station, and is the kind of dude that does whatever's asked of him here at the radio station. Whenever it's asked, Max is always doing it, works on holidays, does like the behind-the-scenes jobs all the time, has a great attitude, and Max is an aspiring play-by-play guy. So with Pete Weber, and I shouldn't say aspiring, he is a play-by-play guy, but obviously he's not Pete Weber, but he does My TV 30 games for high school football. He does all kinds of different stuff. If there's an announcing job out there, Max will do it. And I think this is a big lesson to everybody, which is Max has always had a good attitude. Max has worked really hard. Max is somebody that everybody at the radio station relies on. And guess what? Because he's in the right place at the right time, he's going to be doing an NHL game tonight. And there's a lot of people, a lot of 7-year-olds and 6-year-olds that are like, man, I would love to be a broadcaster and like I'm telling you all, like it's not that easy. And Max works really hard. And this is an opportunity Max is going to get tonight. And I think he's going to do a great job with it. And it'll be his first, NHL game that he'll remember for forever. So I'm excited for Max today. And I think he's going to do a great job. National championship game. We got a lot of Titans to get into today, but I do want to start on the national championship game. And I'm going to start with this question. Does anybody feel satisfied after yesterday's game? Like, did you feel like we got a good game? Did you feel like it was like Georgia won the championship and Georgia fans can't believe it because Georgia hadn't done anything in 40 years. And every time Georgia's been close to doing something, Georgia screws it up. And that's just what Georgia does. And so, like, they can't believe it. It's like the idea of like, oh my God, we finally didn't choke. And so there's that. But I'm struggling with the championship game last night.
I think I feel unsatisfied because, and I don't want to take anything away from Georgia's win because Georgia, like we said yesterday, Georgia was the best and most consistent team all season long. But I feel unsatisfied because I have to think if Jamison Williams never got hurt, if John Mechie never got hurt, That could have been a different ballgame.
Injuries are part of the game, though.
Injuries are part of the game, and they're not exclusive to Alabama. And what do we always say about Alabama? They have the most depth of any college football team out there. So if you're going to have 2 wide receivers go down, Alabama's the best place to do it because they probably have 2 more wide receivers that are just as good, if not better, and ready to take on the challenge. But I have to think there's a little part in my brain that thinks, could that have been different?
Is it wrong that I feel like Georgia didn't earn it?
Yeah, that's wrong.
I feel like Georgia didn't earn it.
Why do you feel that way?
Because I felt like, to your point about Jamison Williams, and again, injuries are not exclusive to Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Injuries are a part of the game. And let's use the Titans, for example. If they get to the Super Bowl and Aaron Rodgers all of a sudden twists an ankle and has to come out, and the Titans beat, who's the backup in Green Bay? Jordan Love.
Mm-hmm.
And the Titans beat Jordan Love and end up winning and hoisting the Lombardi, you ain't going to hear me complain about it. Because I know that in Green Bay, they wouldn't care if Tannehill went down and they had to beat Logan Woodside. They don't care about that. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, if the Williams kids need an explode on that Indianapolis turf yesterday, which might be the worst turf in all of football, and that goes back to TD's whole thing about the Titans not playing Derrick Henry because of the turf.
Right.
Like, if his knee doesn't explode on that turf, those field goals are probably touchdowns, or at least a couple of those field goals early on are touchdowns. And now Stetson Bennett's playing from behind. And I felt like last night, I dozed off in the fourth quarter. And
not a good quarter to doze off.
No, but I like the game just took too long.
It was the first half was boring.
The game just took so freaking long. Like, goodness gracious, get the halftime show. Like, let's go. But so anywho, like, I go back to this, and even though Bryce Young threw the pick 6, and even though he didn't make like the big play to win them the game, which I thought he was going to have to do, and Stetson Bennett didn't lose Georgia the game in spite of him trying to for the first 3 quarters. Like, I felt like when I watched the Scott Van Pelt Sports Center after the game last night, when I came to, I just felt like it was all this like sense of, look at what Georgia finally accomplished. Kirby took it to Nick, and it's like Nick's star receiver's knee blew up on the turf. That's why Kirby beat Nick. And Stetson Bennett was fantastic. Oh, you got to give Stetson Bennett his due. And Stetson Bennett, it could have easily fumbled the game away with that weird kind of fumble, such and such. Like, it's just. But
also, to be fair, he didn't. He didn't fumble the ball away. He
fumbled
the game away.
He fumbled the ball.
He didn't fumble the game away.
Right, because Alabama didn't have any players.
And it's easy to say that, if Jamison Williams never got hurt, that would have been a completely different ballgame.
I'm just saying this. When LSU won the title, when LSU won it in 2019, like, that felt like transformation. Like, that felt like when LSU beat Alabama and smoked Oklahoma by $5 billion and embarrassed Clemson, it was like, everybody on your knees, all hail King Joe Burrow. All hail LSU. This team's incredible. LSU, this 2019 team, champions. When Clemson smoked Alabama a couple years ago in San Francisco, Trevor Lawrence just out there throwing BBs, it was like, all hail Dabo. All hail Trevor. All hail the Clemson Tigers. This, it felt like, boy, Georgia got lucky last night. Boy, Georgia. And then it's like the conversation, though, like the reality is LSU, and I know you're an LSU fan, but like that Clemson team that won the title, that LSU team that won the title, I mean, that felt like, man, those dudes
Those were the best
champions.
teams in college
football. That felt like the best team won.
Mm-hmm.
This felt like finally the stars aligned for Kirby so he couldn't screw up. Finally, the stars aligned for this kid so that he could go out there and play Ryan Tannehill and win a national championship game. And it just doesn't feel right. And I'm sure some people are going to, text in, call in, and say that I'm an Alabama homer and I'm this and I'm that. Like, I get it. I'm a Saban fan. I've talked about it on the air. I said in like October that I thought Georgia was the best team in college football and that I believed that until the SEC title game. I understand injuries are a part of the game. This is every sport. But, man, it just doesn't feel that way. It just doesn't feel. My interpretation of last night was it just doesn't feel like Georgia earned what everybody is giving Georgia today.
I think it's for a couple reasons. First and foremost, you look at the SEC title game. And you look at that game and how lopsided it was in Alabama's favor, that it felt like, okay, this Georgia team that just got blown out by Alabama, I mean, they kind of showed their true colors because they played the most difficult team that they had faced all season, and they got exposed. And then another thing is the trajectory of that game completely shifted whenever Jamison Williams left. Because that first half, I mean, it was back and forth. It was field goals. It was, you couldn't get things moving. And it really felt like that was an even matchup, and it was really head-to-head. And then whenever Jamison Williams went out.
It feels like it was head-to-head in field goals before he got hurt. I think, like, he caught the ball early. Like, I want to say third drive.
That's what I'm saying, before he got hurt.
No. Before he got hurt, it was nothing. Like, before he got hurt, it was punt, field goal, punt, big pass.
But after he got hurt,
and then it was
then
it felt like they were even.
Shifting.
It felt to me like they were even after he got hurt.
In the fourth quarter, things did not feel like they were even.
The fourth quarter felt like they were kind of,
The fourth quarter felt like it was the Georgia show, and Bryce Young was getting clobbered. That's what it felt like.
I felt like they were kind of holding on to their butt in the fourth quarter. That was like one of those ones. Like, remember when the Titans played the Patriots and they lost like 33-16, but really, it didn't really look like that.
Because in the fourth quarter, it just was.
And
ran away with it.
That's how I didn't feel about the title game yesterday. Was I felt like the fourth quarter was once Georgia got a little bit of a lead, Alabama was pressing. Now Georgia can pin their ears back. And I mean, look, if Georgia got a lead, like, yeah, that was going to be. But it just doesn't feel right to me. It just doesn't feel right.
I don't think it feels right for you because you love Nick Saban so much. So if he loses in a game, it doesn't feel right.
But that's different. Like when they got creamed by Clemson, it was like, boy, you better take your cap off to that Clemson team. And that defensive line of Clemson and Dexter Lawrence and Christian Wilkins and Cleveland Farrell and Trevor Lawrence and Justin Ross and T. Higgins and all those dudes that just smoked Alabama. This game, it's like, this game will be remembered for forever. And it's like, I can't look at Georgia, the Georgia team we saw yesterday. You know what I think it is?
What?
I think this quarterback sucks.
I think that's also a big part of it.
Like, and not like the A.J. McCarron, like we're winning in spite of this crappy quarterback. It was like, dude, this guy was hurting the team yesterday. I mean, he was hurting the team. And because Alabama had the injury at wide receiver, it felt like that essentially ended what could have been. I mean, I believe personally if the wide receiver doesn't get injured, again, not to make excuses, but if the wide receiver doesn't get injured, I believe Alabama blows out Georgia last night. Like, blows them out. Because I think 2 of those field goals are touchdowns. And now you're asking Stetson Bennett to go out there and win the game. Now it's like, hey, everything that you saw Bryce Young in the fourth quarter was like, I'm dropping back to pass on every play. They know I'm dropping back to pass every play, and I'm just going to have to wing it and hope these receivers get open. That's Stetson Bennett in the second and third quarter. And with Will Anderson and that number 15, the Will Anderson Jr. that they've got on the other side for Alabama, they would have annihilated Stetson Bennett. And so it's like I look at this, and it's like when I see Clemson go out to San Francisco and just dominate Alabama, and just the way they smoked them. And you guys know, I don't like Dabo. I think Dabo's incredible. I mean, I don't think he's overrated because I think he knows who he is, and I think most of us know who he is. But, like, I don't think Dabo's this great coach. But you got to give that Clemson team its due.
Yeah.
You got to give that LSU team its due. I mean, they went up against everybody and embarrassed them, and look at how all those LSU players are playing in the NFL. This Georgia team? This Georgia team?
Well, might I remind you that only a couple of months ago when somebody said, oh, it's Georgia or the field.
I took Georgia.
You said Georgia.
I took Georgia.
I mean, so where is that change in mindset?
Because the quarterback sucks.
It's the same quarterback that you picked 2 months ago.
And he sucks. And I cannot. Does he suck?
I mean, he's not going to go to the NFL. And if he does, I don't think that he's ever gets a starting job. He's not great. He was a walk-on at Georgia, and he was a walk-on at Georgia for a reason.
I mean, he is of college quarterbacks. Like, think about the last quarterbacks to win the championship, right?
Mac Jones,
Joe Burrow,
Trevor Lawrence,
Deshaun
Watson,
Tua, Deshaun Watson. He is the Trent Dilfer of college quarterbacks.
He is the Nick Foles or the Joe Flacco of college
No.
quarterbacks.
No. Joe Flacco and Nick Foles. Like
They won Super Bowls, but not because they're elite quarterbacks.
Joe Flacco was like a $30 million a year quarterback. Like after they won the Super Bowl, Joe Flacco, like he was a starting quarterback for 10 years in the NFL. Trent Dilfer was shoved out the door after the Ravens won the championship. They brought in Elvis Gerback. Like that was hey, we won with this. I mean, and I like Trent. Like don't get me wrong. Like I'm a huge Trent Dilfer fan, but like that was how they treat. And I just can't get over this. I think it's the combination of the injury to Jameson Williams and the fact that I think this quarterback stinks. And I felt like that game was so there for the taking for Alabama. Unlike the other ones where I felt like Alabama just got smoked. Now, I'll say this for Saban. You ever seen a more gracious loser than Nick Saban? Like, of all the intense guys in the world, like all the coaches that we look at as like mean guys. Like, nobody looks at Phil Jackson as a mean guy.
Right.
But like Belichick and all these guys, I mean, they Bobby Knight and like all these great coaches that just can't lose. And I think we would put Saban, his public persona, in that same category as we put all the other guys. I got to give Saban some credit. I think he's like the most gracious loser in all of, kind of, trying to think of the nice way to say this. Like of the jerk
of the mean
coaches,
guys.
I think, and you know me, I think Saban's one of the coolest guys.
I mean, you think he hung the moon.
Well, I mean, I'll say this. If you ever gotten to hang out with Saban on a personal level, Saban's a great guy. But
oh gosh,
I go back to this of all those guys like that are in that category. I think he's the most gracious loser I have ever seen. You
in front of the camera.
Behind the camera. I'm telling you what I know about him. Now, he didn't lose anything around me, but I think he's really down to earth and really cool, like away from the camera. And you talk to these Alabama players, and they're like, oh, yeah, coach is awesome. Coach is cracking jokes. Coach is this, coach is that, coaches. And, you saw him yesterday after the game with Kirby and kind of the way that he approached things And I just thought, man, this guy is just a gracious loser. And I think that's good. Like, I think that's good for society, even though I thought last night.
What else is he going to do? Throw a fit?
Everybody else
throw
throws
a temper
fit.
tantrum?
Cam Newton throws fits. Belichick throws fits.
Well, Cam Newton's not a coach.
Belichick throws fits. Bobby Knight threw a chair on the court. I mean, come on. Like, Saban.
Okay, college coaches right now, which one would throw a Bobby Knight-esque fit if they lost the national championship?
Mike Gundy.
Okay, well,
Urban
I don't
Meyer.
think he is going. Well, Urban Meyer's not a college coach.
Okay, but you see what I'm saying? Like, these guys, they don't like losing very well. Dabo, I thought, lost pretty good this year. They lost some games, and Dabo, I thought handled it okay. Let's get your phones on the national championship. If you got a national championship thought, get it in because we got a lot of Titans to get to today. But I wanted to start on that, and that is I'm not saying Georgia didn't win it, okay? Like, I'm not saying
you can't say that because they did.
Have you seen what's happened in America the last year and a half?
This is different.
Okay.
I mean, football is not politics, but it kind of is.
If you look at the scoreboard and you say the scoreboard doesn't count, that's the same thing.
Fine line.
And so, I mean, we've changed society for what the rules are, what they aren't. I don't know. Now I'm going to get myself in trouble.
I'm just saying that you can't say a couple months ago that you're taking Georgia or the field, you're taking Georgia, and then all of a sudden Georgia didn't earn it.
I don't think Georgia earned it, but they are the champions. But it just doesn't feel right. What do we think of it? 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Plus, I heard a conspiracy theory. And I am not a conspiracy theorist, but I heard a conspiracy theory. And I don't want to say that I love this conspiracy theory, but I don't know. We'll discuss it next. 615-737-1025. Ian, do I have anything that I need to tell the fine folks about this segment? Okay, 615-737-1025, and we'll get to your reaction on the championship game. Stillman & Company, we are live at Bridgestone Arena, presented by the Hermitage, the design center there. Check them out, gohermitage.com. Stillman & Company, it's ESPN 102.5 The Game, and we're streaming on the Game Nashville app.
Guys on threes, 1, 2, 3, A.J. Brown! Westbrook Akina, touchdown! First down, and that's
should do it. The Titans are the #1 seed in the AFC.
A hell of a job. Came up with some huge plays.
Heading into the playoffs after beating the Texans 28-25 in Houston.
We found a way to make plays, and that's why I'm proud of our guys.
With home field throughout the playoffs, who will the Titans face in the divisional round?
If everything holds, it's going to be the winner of Bengals-Raiders.
Keep it locked for the best Titans talk.
It's going to be a heck of a ride here.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Hillside Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of the pills? Well, we have a major medical breakthrough. The Wave technology at Hillside Medical Clinic was tested by Cambridge University and the Cleveland Clinic, and the results are in. It's proven to increase blood flow by repairing blood vessels. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED by treating the root cause, call us now. And not only will the assessment and blood flow ultrasound be free, we'll also include something unique that produces powerful results in the bedroom. I don't think I've ever seen it fail. This is a $600 value, free to those that call in the next 2 minutes. 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your love life back. Call Hillside Medical Clinic now to qualify. 615-576-5000.
Your home value is way up. Why not use that equity to make your house even nicer for the new year? Hey, Willie Donick here talking about a cash-out refi with Loan Pronto. So call Loan Pronto now. They're fast-tracking home refis for the new year, and people are getting checks for 60, 70, 100 grand or more. And right now, Loan Pronto can even cover all your closing costs. Listen, your home's value is way up. All you have to do is convert that equity into cash. Cash for a new luxurious kitchen or a new home office, or start that swimming pool so you can use it for the summer. Call Loan Pronto now. You can even close in as little as 2 weeks with a big check. Do it now and you can even skip your next 2 house payments. So make 2022 the year you fix up your home and reinvest with Loan Pronto's help. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval. Not all loans apply.
Check out the January clearance sale going on now at Social Furniture. You can save up to 70% off Ashley Furniture. Come first for the best selection of furniture before it's gone, and you don't want to miss out. Social Furniture has truckloads of the best selection of furniture. Get your nightstands, mattresses, bar stools, sofas, and recliners all on sale now with no waiting. You can take home your new furniture today. Visit Social Furniture on the west side at 5412 Charlotte Avenue or on the web at mysocialfurniture.com.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Stillman and Company on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
Biggest third down in Bryce Young's career. You need 10. Play clock at 4. From the pocket, launching downfield, underthrown and intercepted. Keely Ringo has an escort down the sidelines. All the way to the end zone, and Georgia is going to conquer the Crimson Tide.
That was an I can't believe it moment. That was an I can't believe it moment last night in the national championship game. So I teased a conspiracy theory. Should I share this conspiracy theory? Because I don't think it's true.
Well, you already teased it, so don't leave the people hanging.
So Skip Bayless, for example, like years ago. So Troy Aikman hates Skip Bayless. So when Skip Bayless got to Fox, Troy Aikman went on some show, or I think it was with Richard Deitch, or it was somebody that was going to make sure that everybody knew that Troy Aikman hated Skip Bayless, and put out there Troy Aikman said, and it was direct quote from Troy that was I don't know why we hired Skip Bayless. He's not funny. He's not smart. He's not talented. And it's whoa. You hire somebody, and everybody that we've hired in all the years I've been here, I didn't think necessarily were all that great. But I was and some of them were, some of them weren't. So not saying who. But I'm not going to come out and say I think that Caroline Fenton is not funny, not smart, not talented, not good at what she does. I'm not going to do that.
I beg to differ, but
I'm going to get in a lot of trouble if I do that.
Yeah, I would.
But the reason Troy did it is because Skip Bayless in the 90s wrote a book about the Dallas Cowboys, and Barry Switzer was the coach, and Troy was the quarterback, and they didn't like each other. And basically, the Switzer camp was pushing a rumor that Troy Aikman was gay. And Skip wrote in the book that, and remember, in the 1990s, the early 1990s, being the quarterback of the Cowboys and being gay is a lot different than now. Like, I don't care if the quarterback of the Cowboys is gay. I don't care if the quarterback of the Titans is. I don't care if anybody's gay. You're gay, you're gay. Okay, do whatever you want. This is how it works.
That's who you are.
But the 90s, early 90s, it was a much bigger deal.
Different time.
So Skip writes in his book that he tried to confirm this rumor, but he couldn't find it confirmed, so he doesn't believe it. But this is the rumor. Well, like Aikman's like, so you don't have anything that corroborates this, but you still wrote it in your book. So now people are thinking in their head, hey, there's a rumor out there. So it's like pretty irresponsible, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's what I'm about to do here.
It's nothing but gossip.
Yes. So I had a coach text me.
Okay.
Not in the SEC. I had a coach text me and said, in fact, I'll just read the text. And again, this could be total, I could probably I don't want to say get in trouble for this, but I'm just saying, I think I've laid this out that I don't believe this, but it is interesting fodder.
We're tossing it up there.
Says this. Thought Georgia was the better team both over the course of the season and clearly last night. However, it raises question about the SEC championship game, the Greg Sankey conspiracy theory to get 2 teams in the playoff. How does that Georgia team pull a no-show in the SEC championship game? Just don't know. So the Greg Sankey, so this is a coach who's telling me about the Greg Sankey conspiracy theory that Sankey basically had Georgia, lose, get them both in the playoff. Because if you get 2 teams in the playoff for the conference, Vanderbilt is going to get paid because the SEC got 2 teams in the conference in the championship and in the playoff. And so it would behoove Sankey to get 2 teams in. Plus, the other thing about Sankey that I feel like we know is that Sankey's loyalty in college sports is to the almighty dollar.
That is fair.
Like, if you had to ask me, and I like Greg Sankey, and if you had to ask me, does Sankey care more about the integrity of the game or does he care more about the dollar? I would say, just off of what I've seen from Sankey, I think he probably cares more about the dollar.
I have a couple thoughts on that.
Okay, first of all, was it irresponsible for me to throw that conspiracy theory out that a coach texted me today? Not in the SEC, I should add.
Maybe a little bit, but that's okay.
Okay.
Responsibility isn't very fun. A couple thoughts on that. What is the most dominant conference in college football, hands down?
The SEC.
And if you are not a coach in the SEC, you probably will hate the SEC because they are the most dominant conference in college football. They probably make the most money. I would feel confident about saying that, make the most money of any conference in college football. The SEC just, grows a shadow over every other conference in college football. So if I'm not involved in the SEC, if I coach against the SEC, I probably have a bitter taste in my mouth about the SEC. So I'm going to come up with these crazy conspiracies.
This guy doesn't really coach against the SEC.
Well, I mean, they probably could or would.
I would say this. If we were saying, is this coach, now again, doesn't coach in the SEC, but if you were to say, is he an SEC guy or not, I'd say he's an SEC guy.
But, I mean, I still have a hard time
How many college coaches
that.
do you think I know that aren't in some way or another connected to the SEC?
Probably not a lot. I think a lot of coaches are connected to the SEC in some way or another. If they played there, coached with someone who now coaches with the SEC. But if your loyalty lies with a team that is not in the SEC, your paycheck comes from a non-SEC school, you are going to think of things that, belittle your opponent, belittle the giant. It's like the same thing, like the most popular person in school. There's always bad rumors about the most popular person in school because everyone wants to tear down the big dog. So I feel like there's a little bit of jealousy there. Like, Greg Sankey and Kirby Smart and Nick Saban were all in cahoots to make this happen because there's no way that the 2 best teams in college football can come from the same conference. There's no way that could happen.
I know the source. So I'm going to just tell you, knowing the source, I don't think that's the case. The second thing is, I don't think that this is true. Like, I don't think that Sankey basically convinced Georgia to take one for the team. I don't think he did that. But that's not why I don't think. I don't think that this rumor is out there because, everybody hates the SEC and everybody's jealous of the SEC. And, I'm not some Paul Feinbaum truther. So I don't feel like this is – I'll tell you this. I don't think that that's the only person who thinks that. And I don't think it's rooted in jealousy about the SEC. I think it's this. I think Jamison Williams is really good. And that's how that Georgia team – Because think about the original SEC title game. Georgia got a 10-0 lead.
Yeah.
Jamison Williams scores a touchdown. Jamison Williams scores another touchdown. And now it's 14-10, and Kirby and Stetson Bennett have their hands just up their rear ends, and they can't figure out what they're doing at this point. And had Jamison Williams been healthy in this game, then those field goals that Alabama kicked early are probably touchdowns. And so now everything Stetson Bennett does is magnified more. How did Georgia get the lead originally in the second half? They ran the football. You can't do that if Alabama's scoring all these touchdowns. So that's what I think the difference is. But I don't think it's jealousy. I do think there are going to be people that look at one result and say, my goodness gracious, and then see the next result and say, well, that doesn't make sense. Georgia looked like the best team all year, and they smoked Michigan by 500 points, and they dominated Alabama. I mean, come on. What's this SEC title game? I'm just telling you, I think, like A.J. Brown to the Titans, I think that one receiver means that much to Alabama. That's how much of that. That's just me, but I don't think the conspiracy theory is. I think two things. One, I think there are going to be some people that think something like this. And two, I don't think it's born out of jealousy for the SEC.
I also, the point that the person who texted you made about how are you a no-show in the SEC title game and then you turn around and beat them in the national championship. I mean, that's not the craziest thing in the world to lose to a team once and then turn around and beat them again.
Especially when Alabama lost probably the third most important player.
Incredibly valuable player.
Oh, the three best players all played on Alabama. And he was probably the third. And so you take that guy out. Take A.J. Brown out. Like if the Steelers end up beating the Chiefs, which they won't, but if the Steelers beat the Chiefs and they ended up playing the Titans in the divisional round of the playoffs with A.J. Brown in there, I would expect the Titans to smoke the Steelers. And so I don't think that that's too crazy to think that you didn't play well in one game and then you're going to play well in another game.
Right. That happens.
But I'm just saying that was the conspiracy theory. And again, I didn't tell you I believed it. I'm just like Skip Bayless writing in his book about the rumor he heard from the Barry Switzer camp that Troy Aikman was gay. He doesn't believe that Troy is. I would say these are probably two different, though, in terms of responsible and not responsible.
Yeah, I think that's totally different.
Pretty irresponsible.
But I do think that it's not the craziest conspiracy I've ever heard in my life. I don't believe it. But with some of the decisions that Greg Sankey has made, let's just say over the past year, it's all been driven by money.
Oh, he's so for the dollar.
We want Texas and Oklahoma in the SEC because they are prestigious academic and athletic institutions, and we welcome that in the SEC. Oh, please.
That's all bullcrap.
They have the biggest dollar amount attached to them.
12-team playoff.
Yeah, no, it is all about money. And you know what? That's what business is about. You make money.
It's embarrassing to me. Like, honestly, it's embarrassing that I feel like Greg Sankey, has been on he's been one of the big dogs in terms of the infractions committee or whatever. And I think it's embarrassing that he's been on that infractions committee or whatever, because I think he's just so paid by the pocket, and that's it. And it is not about integrity, and it is not about tradition, and it's not all the things that everybody cares about in college sports. Sankey doesn't care about that. So, I don't need you to rule on this NCAA issue on the panel of infractions when you're sitting there basically wrecking college football for the money. That is, and so
but that's different than an infraction.
No, but it's still the same. It's still the same.
Like, if you're bringing in Texas and Oklahoma into the SEC, that's not an infraction.
No, but it's wrong.
You're saying it's because of integrity, but it's not.
Football.
But that's not an infraction.
But
you're not breaking the rules.
But when you're one of these guys, you feel like I'm the caretaker of the game. You don't ruin the game. Like baseball. The owners of baseball don't care.
Right.
Like they do not care about taking care of baseball. They do not care that more people don't care about baseball today than have ever not cared about baseball before, because they're still making their money. So that's all that bothers them is like, okay, yeah, I don't care if nobody watches. If we move the games to some channel nobody has, that's fine. But as long as we're making money, we're making money. Whereas like the NFL one time thought about taking less money to stay on CBS because the most people in America watch CBS. And that I just feel like Sankey doesn't. I feel like Sankey doesn't care. I really feel like he doesn't care. So that's a roundabout way of everything. I did promise your phones. So we'll get to the phones. Caroline's going to tell us about Caesar Sportsbook, though. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We are live at Bridgestone Arena today. Again, a big Predators game. And again, our 1025 The Game broadcasts are brought to you by Hermitage, the Design Center, the professional source for lighting, hardware, appliance, custom kitchens, and baths on the web at gohermitage.com. Caroline, please tell us about Caesar Sportsbook.
It is now time for the Caroline Fenton Caesar Sportsbook Report, people. So first of all, download the Caesar Sportsbook app, and they will match your first bet with a free bet up to $1,001. Win or lose, just use promo code RADIORF. We've got a basketball game in Nashville tonight. Kentucky coming into Nashville, taking on Vanderbilt. Now, the current spread is 8. Vanderbilt +8. I'm going to take Kentucky at -8 because even though Kentucky hasn't been playing their absolute best basketball so far this season, Vanderbilt has just been an absolute dumpster fire. Give me Kentucky -8. But, I mean, that's my opinion. You put your money on what you want to do it and do it with the Caesar Sportsbook app. Caesar Sportsbook, download it, people. Must be 21. Offer valid in Tennessee only. New users and first qualifying wager only. Paid in bet credit. Credit must be used within 7 days of receipt. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. Void where prohibited. Gambling problem? Call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Tonight. Roman Yossi and the Predators return home to Smashville to take on Nathan McKinnon and the Colorado Avalanche. Pre-game at 6, face-off at 7 on Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Get some relief from the wintry mix outside with the hottest deals at Electronic Express. Deals are heating up on all 4K TVs, computers and gaming, smart home, housewares, and more. Avoid the roads with in-stock and ready-to-deliver appliances. Up to 40% off brands like LG, Whirlpool, GE, Samsung, and more. Plus, get up to 36 months free financing. The prices are falling faster than the snow at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
It's the official Bud Light Preds watch party as the Nashville Predators take on the Boston Bruins this Saturday. Puck drops at noon, but the party starts at 11:30 with all kinds of specials. See you at headquarters, Beercade, downtown Nashville on 2nd Avenue. Go Preds!
Hi, I'm Emmitt Smith, Pro Football Hall of Famer and 3-time champion.
Pro Football's all-time leading rusher Emmitt Smith talks about joint pain.
Trust me, I know about joint pain. Sure, I made it look easy, but if my body could speak, it would say, I'm in pain.
Are you living with chronic joint pain? Knees, hips, lower back, shoulders? Don't just assume the old treatments are the only treatments.
I've gone under the knife to get rid of pain, but now there are options, and you need to check them out.
Emmitt's talking about QC Kinetics, exciting new natural biologic therapies that can repair and restore damaged tissue in your joints. New options now available here.
You can encourage your body to actually heal itself with the help of QC Kinetics.
Real relief with no surgery, no drugs, no downtime. Call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics for regenerative restorative treatments with lasting relief.
But now, you and I, we have help. QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. QC Kinetics, 249-4024.
When Nashville is in need for tire sales or service for their business, the Tire Man has been there for over 20 years to help. The Tire Man repairs new and used tires for construction equipment, dump trucks, 18-wheelers, box trucks, fleets, plus they sell new tires for vehicles of all sizes. When your company needs tires, call the Tire Man, 615-663-6040, where they come to you, fully licensed and insured, and they can't wait to work with you. That's the Tire Man at 615-663-6040.
Tonight.
Down to Pippen, left baseline, got around his man, slides to the hole, lays it in.
The Commodores try to get back in the win column as they take on Kentucky at Memorial Gym. Coverage begins at 5:30 on 93.3 Classic Hits and the Classic Hits app.
Hey, Nashville, this is Sean Henry. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 1025 The Game.
Coach, tell me how the injury to Jamison Williams really impacted you in this game.
Well, I think it's a cumulative effect of all the injuries that we had, whether it was Mechie, Josh Jobe, Jalen Armour-Davis. We've had a lot of guys that, were critical parts of this team that, didn't participate in this game. But, look, I'm extremely proud of this team. This team won the SEC championship, beat Georgia to do it. Obviously, they beat us today. I hate it that having such a great season, accomplishing so much, overcoming so much as a team, that we, didn't finish the fourth quarter better than we did. So it's disappointing, and I know they're disappointed, but I'm really proud of this group. They overcame a lot to get here, and they played a really good game today. We just didn't finish in the fourth quarter.
No, that was Nick Saban. No excuses for Nick Saban. Holly Rowe tries to give Nick Saban a way to excuse the loss, and Nick's not interested in excuses. God, what a guy. What a just great coach, great gracious loser, just the best winner of all time, and just the most gracious loser of all time.
Your face just lights up when you talk about either Nick Saban or Bill Belichick.
Oh, it's not even close. I like Saban so much more than Belichick.
I know you do.
I can
tell.
Love Saban.
I think we all know.
I've said it. I consider Nick a friend. And so I root for Nick to do well, and I think he's the greatest coach. Before I even knew him, I thought he was the greatest coach of all time. So
is that why you got your crimson on today?
Is that what this is?
Yeah.
So I don't really like this shirt. I almost never wear it because I don't think it looks very good. But
It's
I felt
nice.
like with the vest, I felt like I could pull it off.
You look cute.
Let's go to your phones. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. Scott has been waiting patiently and is going to kick us off on Nick Saban. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, Scott.
Oh, Lord. The cold takes are piling up, but this one goes in the Jared Stillman Cold Take Hall of Fame. Nick Saban, a gracious loser. You just played that clip and then said, no excuses. He spent 30 seconds listing off every single player in the program that was hurt. You can't say no excuses after you spent 30 seconds talking about all the different injuries.
Didn't you feel like Holly Rowe was giving him the chance? And I'll let you finish your thought, Scott. But didn't you feel like he was giving Holly Rowe was giving him the opportunity to basically be like, yeah, that changed our whole game plan around, and once Jamison went down, it just wasn't the same. And Nick didn't do that. Nick was like, hey, don't just lump Jamison in there. Think about all these great players. I wanted to it's like I wanted to shout everybody out, not just make it about one guy. And then say, that's not why we lost. We lost because we didn't execute, Georgia played a great game. I'm just really proud of the players. The end. Don't you think that?
I'm not talking about last night. I'm not going to go down that road. Nick Saban doesn't say much when he gets thumped, when he, by a really good team. But when he gets out-coached, which has happened pretty frequently, he has two go-to moves. One, he blames his fan base. They're the fault that they lost, and then he takes it out on his beat writers. Number two, he whines and cries about the rules and spends entire seasons and entire off seasons trying to get rules changed.
What did Saban cry about last night?
He lost to Cam Newton. He lost to Johnny Manziel, Nick Marshall.
But what did he cry about last night?
By the time he lost to Hugh Freeze twice in a row, he was on a campaign.
What did he cry about last night?
Jared, I already told you I'm not talking about last night.
Well, that's what I'm talking about right now. I don't care what happened in 2012. Scott, nobody cares about what happened in 2012. I'll tell you, last night, Nick Saban was a gracious loser. Thank you for your call, Scott. Nick Saban was a gracious loser last night. Now, look, has Saban done what every politician in the world does, which is get up there and tell you about why the rule that doesn't help them out is a bad rule? Of course he has. But, to sit there and act like Saban's just going to yell at the beat writers. Saban yells at the beat writers more when they win than when they lose. When they win, it's like, Coach, you went out there and beat Mississippi Tech by 1,800 points. What were you most proud about? Y'all just want to get up here and talk about how great we are, all right? But it's not doing us any good because you guys seem to think that just because they don't have any scholarship players on their team, all right, that they're not any good. I mean, that's when he takes it out on the beat writers. I don't think Saban, Spurrier was a true sore loser. He talked all this trash, and then when they lost, he'd get up there and be like, and he'd answer one question and walk off. Saban is not like that. You may not like Saban, but the current form of Nick Saban, I don't think, is a sore loser.
At least from last night, from the postgame interviews, you could see the interaction between him and Kirby, and he said, God bless you. And when Holly Rowe was interviewing him in the locker room, he said, very proud of Kirby Smart. He did great things for our program when he was here, so on and so forth. I go back to the fact that that's what he's going to say in front of the cameras. Was that how he acted in the locker room after? Probably not. He probably didn't say, all right, everyone, let's hold hands, sing Kumbaya, and say, go Dogs, because they put out a great effort out there. I don't think that's what he did in the locker room. Was he very nervous And
what did he say in the locker room?
we didn't go out there and play our best football. We made the XYZ mistakes.
So I don't know what he said in the locker room, but I bet you what he said in the locker room is exactly what he told Holly Rowe, which was, I just want you guys to know how proud I am of you. Like, I've seen the thing about a Saban and Belichick to a certain extent too, and I think Vrabel might be this way, but like when you feel like you gave it your all and you still lost, he's okay with that. Like, he knows football's not going to be perfect, but when you give it your all and you lose a game, I've heard Brady talk about this in the Man in the Arena series. When you feel like you gave it your all and you still lost, that is so refreshing compared to when you didn't feel like you gave it your all and you felt like if you did something better, you could have had a different result. And so I saw Saban, they lost to Ohio State in 2014. Ohio State was the fourth team. They were the first team. And honestly, they lost the game because Lane Kiffin stopped giving the ball to Derrick Henry. But they lost to, in Ohio State, you go and look at that Ohio State team. I mean, just stud after stud after stud. Ezekiel Elliott and Joey Bosa and Michael Thomas, I think, was on that team. And just like, they were awesome. And they ended up losing to them in the Sugar Bowl. It was a great Sugar Bowl, but they lost. And after the game, Saban said, I'm just so proud of my players. And then when they had their end-of-the-year banquet, Saban got up there and was like, I know everybody around the program, outside of the program, just wants to talk about winning championships or not winning championships, but I just want these players to know how proud I am of them. And that's what I think Saban told his team yesterday. I think this idea that Saban in front of the cameras is like nice. I think Saban is incredibly authentic nowadays. What he was 10 years ago, I don't know. But I think what he said yesterday after the game, I think that's what he told his team. Like, yeah, does he think they were perfect yesterday? Of course he doesn't. Does he think they could have done things better? Sure. But I don't think Saban's going into the locker room and being like, you guys embarrassed me today, and then walks out.
I didn't say that's what he said. And I think that Nick Saban being proud of his players is not something exclusive of Nick Saban. And I don't think that makes him a good loser, the fact that he's proud of his team. I think any coach.
But you just told me that you thought that he went in the locker room and berated them for losing.
I didn't say that he berated them. I think he probably went out there and said, we did X, Y, and Z wrong, and that's what we did. That's why we didn't win tonight. I didn't say that he was going to shake his fists up and down and throw a chair at his players. I didn't think he would do that. But him saying I'm proud of my players, I don't think that's something that only Nick Saban would do or say and makes him some sort of saint.
But I don't think, this is my point, I don't think that Nick Saban, I think you, and I'm not talking about you, but I do include you in this when I say you all. I think there is a feeling that Nick Saban is just a complete hard ass 100% of the time. And I'm telling you, that's not what he's like. And these former players, they adore Nick Saban.
I'm sure they do, because they won games with him.
No, there's a lot of people that won. They don't adore Belichick. They do not adore Belichick like they adore Saban. And again,
I think there's also a difference between the college coach dynamic and the NFL coach dynamic.
I don't know Belichick. I mean, I've interviewed him a couple of times. I've interviewed Bill, a couple of times with Floyd. And I know Saban a little bit. And I'm telling you, that's the one thing. People always ask you in this business, they're like, so who's the coolest person you've ever interviewed? Or and I always think that John McCain is the most influential, famous person that I've ever had the pleasure of interviewing. And I interviewed him once when I was in New Hampshire, and he was as gracious and as nice of a guy as possible for a 15-minute period that I spent with John McCain. But I always tell people this. I always tell them that one time at SEC Media Days, Floyd called Saban. Saban was like, meet me at this time in this room. So we meet him at the hotel, and it's me, Floyd, and Saban. And that's it. And we were just hanging out, talking, and, they were just catching up and whatever, and we're a part of a conversation. And I remember that Nick asked Floyd some question about Nashville, and Saban was like, or Floyd was like, well, he would know better than I would because he's from Nashville. So Nick asked me a question or whatever, and I mean, Nick's staring at me the way you're staring at me right now, and I was like, oh my God, I'm hanging out with Saban. And so that was the first experience of that, just hanging out, shooting the breeze with Nick. But the more times that we did that, I felt like, man, he's a cool guy. And that's the thing I always try to tell people is that he is really a cool guy. When the makeup's off and the cover's off and the cameras are not on and you're just, and yeah, now he and Floyd are friends and have a lot of respect for each other. But I mean, he is a cool guy. And that's why when people think that he's got some like mean bone in his body that God forbid Nick Saban could be gracious, or God forbid that he could admit defeat or look at another coach and say that guy had better players than me tonight, I actually think it's the opposite. I think it is like Nick can look at Kirby and look at the reality of his situation. His corners are out and his receivers are out, and say, you know, we gave it our best. And I think that's how he approached last night. Let's get back to your phones on this. 615-737-1025. I did not plan on spending an hour on the championship. I assume we have a lot of phones to get to.
We do.
Okay, we'll do that next. 615-737-1025 here on Stillman and Company. TriStar Moving. They are the presenting sponsor of this show, and they are my official movers. I absolutely love TriStar Moving. Like most people, I hate moving, and when I moved, I really wasn't looking forward to it, but thank goodness for TriStar Moving. They handled my move, and it was 5-star service, and that's why their motto is TriStar Moving with 5-star service. From the initial phone call to the final signature, moving was a breeze. They offer home protection, so they covered floors, banisters, railings, door jambs, and even the doors themselves. Everything at my old home was taken care of. Everything at my new home was taken care of. It was fantastic. And they have a brand new state-of-the-art storage facility in Mount Juliet. Their owners, Garrett and Robert, are true Nashvillians, and they truly care about helping their community, and that's why their company is on the rise with TriStar Moving. Give them a call, 615-640-1219, or visit their website at nashvillemoving.org/radio, where they'll give you 5% off your entire move. That's TriStar Moving, 615-640-1219. nashvillemoving.org/radio. Tell them Jared Stillman sent you for 5% off your entire move. TriStar Moving, my official movers.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Despite all that sunshine, we're only warming our way to the mid-40s today. We do have 50s in store for Wednesday and Thursday, and potentially more snow. That's on Saturday.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Check out the January clearance sale going on now at Social Furniture. You can save up to 70% off Ashley Furniture. Come first for the best selection of furniture before it's gone, and you don't want to miss out. Social Furniture has truckloads of the best selection of furniture. Get your nightstands, mattresses, bar stools, sofas, and recliners all on sale now with no waiting. You can take home your new furniture today. Visit Social Furniture on the west side at 5412 Charlotte Avenue or on the web at mysocialfurniture.com.
Hey, Robbie Stanley here, and Wild Card Weekend just got wilder. FanDuel Sportsbook is hooking new customers up with 30-1 enhanced odds. That means you can bet $5 and win $150 on any team to win any wild card game. Give me Tampa Bay to take down Philadelphia. I like Tom Brady and company, but you take it any way you want to take it. Just sign up for FanDuel Sportsbook, make a deposit to claim your 30-1 enhanced odds. There's no better place to bet the NFL playoffs than on America's #1 sportsbook. It's safe and secure, and when you win, FanDuel will pay your winnings in as little as 2 hours. So don't miss your chance to win $150 on a $5 bet when you use promo code ROB when signing up. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app, use promo code ROB, and pick your wild card team before kickoff. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. New users only, and $10 first deposit required. Must wager in designated offer market, a max bonus of $150. Bonus for Tennessee users fulfilled in site credit within 72 hours. Tennessee site credit expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
My crusade for the perfect pizza crust has led me here, pining over a backyard wood-fired oven. But how do I bake this build into my budget? Where can I get some solid guidance on my finances? Who can help me understand if I have the dough for this?
A little financial advice. At Regions, we know that's important because your Life Green checking account comes with Greenprint, financial planning with a banker who will help you create a personal budget and live in the moment. Make your appointment at regions.com/Greenprint. Regions Bank, member FDIC.
Robbie Stanley.
Coming in off the water. Yeah. Coming in there to tailgate.
Joe Rex Road.
That was fun.
Get your morning started with Robbie and Rex Road every weekday from 6 to 10. Presented by Volunteer State Bank on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving.
Okay, first, Kirby, I got to know, what does that trophy taste like?
Well, I didn't get a full taste, but I can tell you this. There's going to be some property torn up in Indianapolis tonight, baby!
Paraphrasing the great Larry Munson with that one.
You know, when Ed Orgeron won at LSU and was like, "Yeah, I ate some sandwich and some chips and watched SportsCenter." I was like, I enjoyed it. With Kirby, I just struggle a little bit because I kind of feel like, I don't want to say Georgia were frauds.
Oh, my goodness gracious. You did not.
But I kind of feel.
Jared Stillman.
Now,
you said 2 months ago, if you were to take Georgia or the field, you would take Georgia. And now you were sitting up here calling them a fraud. Frauds.
Yeah.
You pancaker.
No, I think
I'm going to call you Mrs. Butterworth from now on.
I think
because
that
was the biggest pancake.
I think there's a difference here. I think that, this is, you looked at Georgia as they run through Kentucky and Vanderbilt and South Carolina and all those
The
schools.
same schedule they had 2 months ago when you said they would take them.
That's what I'm saying. So you look at them dominate everybody, and then you watch them go play the big boy Alabama, and you see them the first time, and then you see what that game was developing into. And I can't get over it. This did not feel like LSU 2 years ago. This did not feel like Clemson. This did not feel like Alabama last year. This did not even feel like Ohio State in 2014. I don't know what it is. I just struggle with that. But I do want to tell a Floyd story quickly, and then we'll go right to the phones. Ian, you might remember this. Floyd doesn't very often raise his hand in defense of a coach. And this was 2016, which I think was Kirby's first year. They were 7-5. And I was not a huge fan of Kirby at the beginning. And Floyd would just look at me and go, Kirby's a good coach. And every time I'm like, do you know Kirby? He's like, yep. And I'm like, and you think Kirby's going to be a good coach? Yep. Did not waver whatsoever in his belief that Kirby Smart was a good coach. And we all should have listened. And we all should have listened. For the umpteenth time, we all should have listened to Floyd, which is something that if I could go back and do it, I'd probably listen to him a little bit more and probably have talked a little bit less on the show. Let's go back to the phones. What do we have in our phone lines?
Josh texts in and says, I am satisfied with the championship game primarily because of Georgia's drought. You are not satisfied, Caroline and Jared, because Nick Saban lost in the national championship
Caroline
game.
hates Nick Saban.
Yeah, do not loop me into this Saban apologist, praiser, worshiper camp because I am anything but. But I will continue with Josh's text. Josh says, injuries happen, and now you're giving excuses and comparing Aaron Rodgers to Mechie and Williams. If Alabama won y'all, you would be so satisfied with this game. First of all, no.
Who was out for Georgia?
I don't know off the top of my head.
I mean, if Alabama won, I would have been satisfied with it. I would have been like, see, Nick did it again. Nick's, yes.
But would you have been satisfied with it because you thought the better team won, or would you have been satisfied with it because you love Nick Saban and you think that he deserves to win every game?
I still think Alabama's the better team between the two of them. I went into this game thinking, I could see it going either way, and now I am convinced if they played 10 times, Alabama wins 6.5 to 7 of them.
I mean, I picked Alabama yesterday.
If Alabama played LSU in 2019 10 times, LSU wins 10 times.
Yes.
That's what Clemson, when they beat Alabama, and even when Clemson and Alabama had those showdowns, those two games that went back to back, where Alabama won and it was a dogfight, and then Clemson won, and Deshaun Watson hit Hunter Renfrow on the last play of the game, and I didn't walk away from that thinking, boy, Clemson, fraud. I didn't think about that. This Georgia team, this just doesn't have the right. I don't know what it. I can't.
You're basing it off of one game, and you're basing it off of the SEC championship, which I think is fair because that's the last time that they played.
Because Georgia showed us something in the Michigan game that I'm not sure I was expecting. I thought
I thought Michigan would at least cover.
I thought it was at least going to be somewhat of a ball game. I didn't think they'd win by 500, and that was exactly what they did. But I don't know. I struggle. Maybe it's my unrelenting love for Nick Saban.
It
is why I can't get over this contest. I've seen Saban beaten before, and I've been okay with Saban being beat before. But this one, it just doesn't feel right to me.
You're looking at the SEC championship.
I think it's the quarterback.
I look at also Alabama LSU, Alabama Tennessee, Alabama Auburn. All three of those games were way closer than they really needed to be.
Did I not say in late October or November of this year, did we not have the conversation does Alabama suck for Alabama standards?
And throughout this season, I mean, it sounds crazy to say because they ended up in the national championship, but this Alabama team, what we saw from them on the field in more than a handful of games was not impressive. And Georgia's closest game before the SEC championship was what? Kentucky, and they won by 14 points? I mean, I hear you because I picked Alabama yesterday because I thought they have the better coach and the better quarterback. And
What
I
else we
still
got
think
with
that
this?
today.
I don't want to cut you off, but I want to get to some of these.
Josh Texan and says, if Alabama won, Jared, he would be praying Nick Saban. But since his team
True.
lost, the other team must have gotten lucky.
I got to say, I'm not saying you're wrong. I don't think you're right, but I'm not for sure putting my foot down on that one. What else we got?
One texter texts in and says he spent years campaigning against tempo offenses because of player safety. And when he couldn't get rules changed, he no longer cared about player safety and went up tempo himself. Talking about Nick Saban.
I think he does care about it. Remember the Brady clip that went viral where he was talking about how Brady doesn't like the rules that benefit the offense because in his earlier years, he couldn't throw a ball in the middle of the field with Ray Lewis because it'd get a wide receiver killed. And now they've just changed the rules. So it's like, yeah, you can throw the ball in the middle, and it's the defensive player's fault and not the offensive player. So these quarterbacks will get these wide receivers killed, and Brady doesn't like it. That doesn't mean Brady doesn't throw the ball in the middle of the field.
Mm-hmm.
That just means that Tom just doesn't like the rule because he thinks it teaches bad football. And that's something I'm okay with. Like, I'm okay with Brady having that theory. So Paul Kaharski went on Robbie and Rexro today, and I heard something today that I thought was just wild. And I'm not going to say I'm surprised by it, but it does feel a little crazy. We'll get to that coming up next. We got a lot of Titans to get to, a lot of football today on the program. Stillman and Company, we're live from Bridgestone Arena. We're delivered by TriStar Moving. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The voice of reason.
Now, you may say, well, a quarterback is more important than a running back. That's fine. You can say whatever you want.
The voice of the fan.
Even if we have to develop him while he's playing, I just want a boring first-round pick.
The voice of Nashville sports is your home of Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Brian Porth back again to tell you about Dr. Kelly Rice Family Cosmetic and Dental Sleep Medicine. Earlier this year, Dr. Rice, I was disappointed to have a cavity filling even after brushing my teeth all the time and having regular checkups.
Ryan, cavities are like any other health condition. You don't really know you have one until it gets bad. Recently, I saw a patient for treatment that they had been putting off. Something that could have been simple to fix 6 months ago turned out to need a root canal and a crown. Postponing treatment costs more and takes time away from work.
Well, I can attest to the fact that if I had not been doing regular checkups, I may have had to get a root canal by now. But thanks to your great staff that has been taking care of me for almost 15 years, my teeth are as good as they've ever been.
Well, we do things differently. I want to let people know that if they're afraid of pain or worried about the cost, they are not alone. Don't be embarrassed. We understand. Give us a call at 615-373-4488. That's KellyERice.com.
Dr. Kelly Rice, Family Cosmetic and Dental Sleep Medicine, 615-373-4488.
Are you a father that is passionate about your fundamental constitutional right to parent your own child or children? Has your parenting time or your income been affected by COVID? This is Amanda J. Gentry, and I am a fierce defender of your constitutional rights. The courts in Tennessee are under an obligation to maximize equal parenting time. We do not live in an every other weekend world anymore. At the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry, fathers are extremely important, much like my own father was. Go to AmandaJGentry.com or call or text 615-604-6263. That's AmandaJGentry.com.
Hey, it's Chase McKay. Bet on more than the final score with One Game Parlay at BetMGM. One Game Parlay is an exciting feature designed to help you make selections within a single game from over 400 bet types, including team and player props. Log into your BetMGM account and create your best parlay before the game starts. New to BetMGM? Sign up today and make your first bet risk-free up to $1,000 with bonus code 1025GAME. You can place one-game parlay bets on football, basketball, and more. Plus, you'll earn M-Life rewards, and you can redeem for room nights and dining at any MGM resort nationwide. Try One Game Parlay today. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years of age or older to wager. Tennessee only. New customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as not withdrawable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire 7 days from issuance. For problem gambling support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789.
Treating erectile dysfunction with acoustic wave therapy has been getting a lot of attention lately. But you should know that some are promising results we just haven't seen and charging a lot of money for the treatments as well. This is Kim for the Tennessee Men's Clinic. And if you're looking at acoustic wave therapy or any option to help your ED, you really should call us first. Unlike wave therapy only clinics, the Tennessee Men's Clinic wave therapy protocols do use acoustic wave technology. But we also often combine it with other treatments that can give most of our patients far higher satisfaction rates. There is no surgery nor any type of invasive procedure required. And even better, depending on your treatment strategy and with our urologist and provider's guidance, you can likely have sex the day after your appointment. We even have other treatments that can help you last up to an hour. Plus, for a limited time, we're waiving our normal appointment charge, which includes a PSA and T test, and offering a free ultrasound, altogether nearly a $400 value for free. So make an appointment today. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects, treatments, extra results vary.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, broadcasting 97.5 Murfreesboro, 106.3 Williamson County,
ESPN
102.5 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. With Karen Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, ESPN 102.5 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and now Facebook Live, thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We are live at Bridgestone Arena today. Preds and Avs tonight. And 102.5 The Game's Preds broadcast brought to you by Hermitage Design Center, the professional source for lighting, hardware, appliance, custom kitchens, and baths on the web at gohermitage.com. Live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios here at Bridgestone Arena. So, on Friday, we played this clip where Paul Kaharski asked Julio Jones a question about Julio Jones' lack of production. Now, before we get into Julio's lack of production, I think some of us, all of us, need to have a moment of truth where we can just admit that going into the season, even me, who didn't want to make the Julio trade and complained and argued, that at the end of the day, 31 receptions for 434 yards and 1 touchdown was not what we were expecting from Julio Jones. Fair?
That is incredibly fair.
Ian?
Probably fair.
Okay. So I think we can all admit Julio hasn't played as well as we were expecting Julio to play, especially the fans that just love the Julio idea so much. And Paul Kaharski asked this question to Julio Jones on Friday, which I think is a pretty fair question.
Julio, I understand what you're saying about your willingness to do what it takes, but do you think they traded what they traded and they're paying you what they're paying you for 9 catches over 8 games?
It's all about opportunity, within games and different things like that. If I'm not the read, I'm not the read. You don't want to go out here and force things to people or do things like that. We getting out of character, right? So like the whole thing is it's a team sport. Regardless of what I'm getting paid or what the case may be, it's never that, nor do I play the game to think like that. You know what I'm saying? That's one of those things where people talk about, well, we need to see this, we need to see that, but you don't know what type of people are. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to have a guy who can perform, but you don't trust, or you don't know what you're going to get out of that guy, right? So my whole thing is I'm here and I'm available to, like I said, if this need to be that type of game or this type of game, I'm all for it. So,
Chronic holder outer Julio Jones says, like, I don't play the game for money and what I'm paid and things. I'm just here to do my job, which is interesting. So Paul Kaharski then says on Robbie and Rexro today, I don't know if you heard this.
I did.
That a Titan fan was so mad at him that he literally had to forward an email that a fan sent him about Julio Jones to the police because what the fan said he was going to do to Paul's 12-year-old son over his angst about Julio Jones. And I just have to ask this question, and I mean this with all sincerity. Are we not all on the same page about how Julio's played this year? Like, and I'm not saying what Julio said, because in that clip that we just played, it's obvious that Julio thinks he hasn't been getting the ball enough. I also think it's obvious that Julio is not happy about his targets because all of a sudden this past week, the Titans out of nowhere targeted him 9 times. But are we not all on the same page that Julio's production was not good enough this year? And I don't want to hear any excuse. Well, he was hurt, Jared. I don't care about that. A.J. Brown was hurt this year, and none of us are upset with his production. Derrick Henry was hurt this year, and none of us are upset with Derrick Henry's production. But Julio's production all of us are like, that's not good enough. Like, what are we talking about here? At least I think that's how all of us are. And I don't know how you can honestly watch your team play and come away from this as like, Julio has done enough this year, and everybody who criticizes the fact that he hasn't done anything this year is completely and totally wrong, and then make it incredibly personal. I mean, I think everybody will tell you the idea of whatever that person sent to Paul about his 12-year-old son is completely out of bounds. But more importantly, I just have to ask this question. Are we not all on the same page where Julio is? Like, are we not all on the same page that what he's done so far isn't good enough? And while there's some belief that he can go out there and do better in the future, and even I have a little bit of hope for that, not a lot, but maybe a little bit. But while there's some people that can hope that he'll do better or whatever, that I'm not. The lack of production this year is not what I thought, we were talking about as a reality or a possible situation. Shouldn't we all be on the same page for that?
Well, clearly we're not all on the same page with that.
Clearly.
I believe everyone in the show is on the same page about that, because whenever you bring a guy in and you pay him $15 million and you give up a second-round pick, I think a little bit more than 500 yards across an entire season is expected. But, I mean, clearly somebody felt so worked up about the fact that Paul would have the audacity to question Julio Jones's production, that he would threaten his child, which I don't care how bad a take or a question is, that is so completely out of line and terrifying. But I think we can all get on board with that.
So move that off the side.
I don't understand what the disconnect is. Is it the playoffs? Because I've seen a lot of textures in the text line saying, okay, just wait for Julio Jones. That's what he was brought in here to do, was win playoff games. Just wait for the playoffs. Why do I have to wait for the playoffs to see what Julio can do? Because there have been games that Julio's production really could have helped the Titans, and maybe it wouldn't have come down to a 3-point game against the Texans. The Titans could have locked up the 1 seed a little bit sooner. I know that sounds greedy, saying, you get the 1 seed a little bit sooner on in the season, but I don't understand how anyone can look at what Julio has done in the regular season and hold out hope that there's more to come.
You can hold out hope. I don't hold out hope. You can hold out hope. But I'm telling you, I think like my bigger problem with all of this, like with all of just the crying and just but my bigger issue is, aren't we all on the same page that it's not good enough? Every time we talk about whether or not it's good enough, everybody has whatever excuse they want to have. Some people will say, boy, that was a bad trade and the Titans shouldn't have done it. Like we have said the Titans shouldn't have done it. And Chris Sanders said at the time, don't do it. And there was a lot of that. There were people that said, don't do it. Jason Fitz has come on the show. He said if the Titans get Julio Jones, he thinks that they are up there with Kansas City as the best team in the AFC. And while they are right now the best team in the AFC, I think he meant they're like an elite team, which none of us would say the Titans are an elite team right now. And I think he has said on our show, like, yeah, I totally whiffed on that Julio one. And there are fans and Joe Rexrode that are saying, like, okay, now if Julio continues to play well after this game, going into the playoffs, he can be an X factor, and that can elevate the Titans, which is something you can think. I don't think it, but you can think that. But I don't understand how you can have people that aren't mad about what they've gotten from Julio so far. Like, I don't know how that can exist.
And I think it's the same kind of thing as whenever we may critique Ryan Tannehill for making a mistake, and then callers and texters get mad at us for even questioning Ryan Tannehill.
Like, is it just too much of a homer town? Like, is that what this, like, I
don't think that's just a national thing, because I think that there are diehard fans that will apologize for all of their players.
I think that the people that call and text this show are too homerific. I think that's the problem.
Well, I mean, that's their fans.
Like, just like Titans Twitter. Like, Titans Twitter is incredibly obnoxious. Like, I thought Pred's Twitter was bad, and Pred's Twitter is bad. But I think Titans Twitter sometimes might be a little, like, at another level. But, I mean, I look at the listenership of this show, and, I mean, this is a show that really tells the truth, and I love Floyd, but I feel like since Floyd's not here anymore, it's probably been more reactive and less probably, you know, the common sense, let's go with the flow. I'm not trying to burn any bridges of the team that I'm a member of their Hall of Fame kind of feel to it. And our listenership is pretty strong. So it makes me think that the average person is totally on board with what we've seen so far this year. But that the loud person, they're like crazy. And they think the Titans are just completely above criticism. And I just don't get it. I just don't, like, everybody's goal is the same, right? To win the Super Bowl, or what it takes to win the Super Bowl. When it comes to Tannehill, there are people that are like, oh my God, how dare you not excuse this for, and then he makes a play like he made the other day, and instead of wondering, man, if Tannehill could have made a couple of those plays against the Jets, if Tannehill could have made a couple of those plays in the first game against the Texans, if Tannehill could have not fumbled the snap against the Steelers, my goodness gracious, what could this team be? Here's the thing. Somebody today, there was a Boston radio show, had like the offseason grades for like each big free agent signing the Patriots had. And it was like, this guy gets a B+, this guy gets an A-, this guy gets a B+, this guy gets an A, this one. They're all A's and B's and like maybe one C, except one guy. Jonnu Smith got an F. From both of the hosts, Jonnu Smith got it. They don't ever throw the ball at Jonnu Smith. It was a waste of money. And as I have said many times, that other than Jonnu's wallet, that Jonnu's deal with the Patriots has been bad for everybody. It's been bad for the Patriots. It's been bad for Jonnu's career. It's been bad for Tannehill. It's been bad for the Titans. It's been bad for all these things. And this guy's like, what do you mean it's been bad for the Titans? They're the number 1 seed. I'm like, they were 11-5 last year. They're 12-5 this year. There's not that big. I think the AFC has come down a little bit. Like last year, Kansas City was an elite team in the AFC. And so I think they've come down. I think Buffalo this year, when they lost some games that we were like, what is going on with Buffalo? Like, I think they've come down a little bit. Cincinnati's gone up. You've stayed the same, although your defense is better, but your offense is worse. Mm-hmm. And I just think sometimes people can't see that. Like, they get too blinded by the number 1 seed, and they think number 1 seed means they're going to the Super Bowl. And I'm telling you, there's no guarantee there's going to be a second playoff game here. Like, I want everybody to know that. Like, that there is no guarantee you're going to the AFC Championship game. And every single team that could come in here could beat the Titans. Every single one of them. And I'm not saying they will. But again, back to the Julio point. Like, can we just admit the truth? And I think we're struggling with that. So I save that. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. I just am wowed by sometimes the audacity of fans that just cannot look at their own team and say, hey, like, the Titans are good. They're a good team. But that doesn't mean that they're above reproach. And that doesn't mean that they're guaranteed to go to the Super Bowl. 615-737-1025 is the phone number, 615-737-1025. Coming up next, on the Julio front, there's something I dug up that I think tells me what Julio is. So we'll get to that coming up next. Stillman and Company, again, we are live today at Bridgestone Arena, where the Predators take on the Colorado Avalanche tonight at 7 o'clock. Hey, this Preds season, join us for Smashville Live with special guests tomorrow, Preds captain Roman Josi and forward Mikhail Granlund. The show will air on Wednesdays during the Preds season from 6 to 7, and you can watch via 1025 The Game's Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Be sure to join us this hockey season for Smashville Live, brought to you by New Amsterdam Vodka, Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, and Red Spirits and Wine in Bellevue.
It's game day in Smashville. Brought to you by Hermitage Design Center.
With a slot and a backhand shot, miraculously stopped by UC Saros.
The Predators are back home at Bridgestone Arena and look to continue their winning ways against the vaunted Colorado Avalanche.
I think the players have done a really good job, and they're getting rewarded for doing things the right way.
Coverage begins at 6 on Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The free AutoZone Fix Finder service can help troubleshoot the likely cause of your pesky check engine light for free and get you back on the road. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Houston Clinic Orthopedics at TriStar Centennial offers world-class orthopedic care with multiple physicians at this location, specializing in spine, joint replacement, knee, hip, upper extremities, and other orthopedic conditions. Make better use of your time with Houston Clinic Orthopedics with on-site diagnostic and testing, timely appointments, and easy access to the facility. Get back to enjoying life. Schedule your appointment online at tn.houston.com. Houston Clinic Orthopedics at TriStar Centennial, across from Centennial Park and Centennial Sportsplex, when experience matters.
Get some relief from the wintry mix outside with the hottest deals at Electronic Express. Deals are heating up on all 4K TVs, computers and gaming, smart home, housewares, and more. Avoid the roads with in-stock and ready-to-deliver appliances. Up to 40% off brands like LG, Whirlpool, GE, Samsung, and more. Plus, get up to 36 months free financing. The prices are falling faster than the snow at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
One of the smartest things you can do for the new year is convert some of your home's equity into cash. You can do it right now with a zero-cost cash-out refi from Loan Pronto. Willie here. Call Loan Pronto now. They can fast-track your home refi and get you a check for 50, 60, 70 grand or more. And if you call now, Loan Pronto can even pay your closing costs. Listen, your home value is way up. Use it to your advantage. Get cash out now. Pay off those credit card debts. Consolidate other debts. Start that home improvement project and get your finances in great shape for 2022. Loan Pronto's refis usually close in just 2 weeks, and the process is easy. It's all digital. Call Loan Pronto now. Put that equity in your home to work towards financial freedom for the new year. Do it now, and you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. Not all loans apply.
In college football, Goodyear knows a new season means new possibilities, where every Saturday is an opportunity on the road to greatness. No matter if you're out there playing your hardest or cheering the loudest from the sidelines, tailgating in the parking lot, or your favorite spot to watch the game, Goodyear knows passion is what drives us forward all the way to the playoffs. That's the road that moves us. Goodyear, more driven.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
Get ultra strong for your South Pole. Charmin keeps your undies whiter than the North Pole. A shiny hiney, a brand new year. Come to us, Charmin. Happy New Year. May your holidays be Charmin, clean, merry, and bright. May all your undies be Charmin, clean white.
Charmin Ultra Strong just cleans better. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
Interact with Stillman and Company. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Did you guys feel like you went into yesterday's game with more of an intent to get Julio involved in the plan, or was that just the way things played out? And I guess to follow on that, are you encouraged by the way he goes into the playoffs now?
Yeah, I mean, our intent is to try to offensively, take care of the football and score as many points as we can. And it was good to have him out there. It was good to have AJ out there. It was good to have, Nick Westbrook catch passes for us and Ferkser and everybody else. And the quarterback played well. And so there's a lot to fix. There's a lot to clean up. But, hopefully we'll see how he responds and that we can continue to move forward with the guys that were out there yesterday and see where we are after, injury-wise as we work here through the week.
There you go. That was Vrabel yesterday. Vrabel does not want to talk about one specific guy, and the one specific guy he absolutely does not want to talk about is Julio Jones. He is not interested in, did you feel like Julio's coming on? Yeah, I thought Julio 5 catches for 50-plus yards and a touchdown. Bob, I think he is right there. I think Julio's exactly where he needs to be. He's never going to say that, regardless of whether or not he believes it or what he thinks, but he's always going to talk about, he was fine. AJ, Nick Westbrook, Ferkser, Johnny, Jimmy, Stevie, Tommy. Like, it's going to be that
great
way all the time. And I get it. And I feel like Titan fans are super optimistic about Julio going into the playoffs But this is something that's bothering me. And I dug it up today. 2021, because I've told you what I think Julio is right now, which is a good possession receiver. Like, you all want Julio Jones Atlanta. I think that guy doesn't exist anymore. Just like I think, like, 23-year-old Jared Stillman that could stay out until 4 o'clock in the morning and then host a radio show at 8 o'clock the next day, that guy doesn't exist anymore.
Woof.
I can't do that. I could do that when I was 24, 25 years old. I can't do that now. I mean, I remember I used to do pregame shows, and it'd be like 8:30, 9:30 in the morning, and Floyd would walk in when we would do them at the Omni, and it'd be like me, Floyd, and Derek Mason, and I would have been out like the night before until 2, and Floyd would be like, how we doing today? And I'm like,
a little quieter, please.
It's a long night last night, Floyd. And he'd be like, ha, ha, ha. We don't do that now. Like, we cannot do that now. So I think the Atlanta Julio, like, that guy's gone, right? Like, he's not coming back. I think he is a possession receiver, a lot like Tajay Sharp. Now, I couldn't stand Tajay Sharp when he was here, but that's what I think he's like. So I pulled up their numbers. 2019 Tajay Sharp, so the first year of Tannehill. Julio Jones, 10 games, 31 catches, 434 yards, 1 touchdown, a long of 51. Yards per reception, 14. Tajay Sharp, 15 games, 25 catches, 329 yards, 4 touchdowns, 13.2 yards per catch, and a long of 47. Now, here's the crazier part. How much this year have we complained and cried and moaned about how they have no wide receivers to throw to?
A lot.
That team had A.J. Brown, number 1, Corey Davis, number 2, Jonnu Smith at tight end, Adam Humphries, Tajay. Like, Tajay was like the 4th or 5th guy. Julio, all year, has been the 2nd guy. And you've wanted him to be the 1st guy when A.J. Brown was out. And his numbers are shockingly similar to Tajay Sharp's. Here's the other crazy thing. Because somebody tweeted me today and they said, well, yeah, Tajay played 15 games. Julio's only played 10. As if the Titans didn't pay Julio to play all 17. They only paid him to play 10, I guess. But Adam Humphries got hurt in 2019 too. Adam Humphries in 12 games had 347 yards, 2 touchdowns, 37 catches. So he had 6 more catches than Julio has. He had another touchdown that Julio has. That's what he is right now. Like, that's what Julio is to me, is he is Tajay Sharp. He is Adam Humphries. He is these guys that were just whatevers. Like Adam Humphries, you paid him a bunch of money to come in here and be the slot receiver. He got hurt all the time, and you cut him because he wasn't worth the money you were paying him. Tajay Sharp, that similar season that I just went over, where Tajay had incredibly similar numbers with more touchdowns than Julio Jones did, made $650,000 that year and was not re-signed the following year. That's what you're getting out of Julio. And no one wants to admit it, and everybody wants to be super optimistic. And here's what Joe said. Ian, do we have that? Here's what Joe said today, because I sent Robbie the comparison of the stats between Julio and Tajay. And so Robbie was like, yeah, Jared just sent me the stats between Julio and Tajay. And they're pretty similar. And here's what Joe said.
I would say what I saw the other day was a good possession receiver. Although, again, he did get open deep, and Tannehill did miss him. I would say Julio Jones the other day was a more dynamic and effective receiver than Tajay Sharp has ever been on an – it's fair. I mean, the production is what it is. Like 9 catches over 8 games, that stat probably kind of tells you what you need to know. It's been very disappointing.
So Joe's saying, hey, the Julio Sunday was better than Tajay's ever been. Tajay had a game against the New Orleans Saints. Julio was targeted 9 times, had 5 catches for 50-plus yards and a touchdown, right? Against the Saints, Derrick Henry got hurt, didn't play. The Titans ended up in a shootout. Jerome Boger blew the game. You know, that
Classic.
one where Floyd wanted to fire him after the game was over.
Heard that story before.
6 targets for Tajay, 5 catches, 69 yards, 2 touchdowns. So I've never seen Tajay Sharp play as good as Julio played Sunday. Tajay Sharp has had a game where he had 7 catches for 101. Tajay, and again, Ian, please back me up here. How much did I not like Tajay Sharp?
Do not like Tajay Sharp.
And Tajay Sharp doesn't like me because I don't like Tajay Sharp. And I just, that's what he is right now. And so this is how I approach it. Unlike the, Julio could turn this around and Julio could make a big catch at the right moment and everybody will, Joe will stand on the table and bang it. So could Tajay. So did Khalif Raymond. So did all those other guys. Can Julio go out and get you 8 catches in a ball game where you don't have to target him 16 times? Can Julio get you 8 catches for 111 and 2 touchdowns in a game where you target him 9 times? I don't think he can.
And not to play devil's advocate here, because I am not a Julio apologist, and I don't think that he's produced at the level that he was expected to. But how much do we buy into what his response to Paul Carsey's question of, if they don't throw me the ball, there's not much that I can do.
I think that is the excuse that every single wide receiver uses all the time. That is, I don't get the ball enough. Notice how A.J. Brown was injured for a month, came back. Wasn't hard for A.J. to get the ball. They came right back. Oh, where's A.J.? A.J. And I don't know if Julio has been complaining about his targets. I will say they targeted him 9 times on Sunday.
After he made a comment about not getting targeted.
Make of it what you will. 615-737-1025. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. Bryce has been waiting patiently. Let's squeeze him in here. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, Bryce.
Hey, guys. Jared, I just have a question. Broncos fan, said that before. What would Julio have to do for it to validate what they did to get him in your eyes? Like, if he just did what you just listed off, I think it was 117 and 2 touchdowns in the first round, ease Henry back in because everybody's stacking the box, and then he does it again, but they either win or lose on a last-second field goal in the shootout. Would that validate? Again, I have no care in the world. It's just interesting to hear what your opinion is because I think it was a stretch, but if he can get you to the Super Bowl or right there because it was a fluke play, last-second field goal, maybe, but I don't know. I just want
thank you for your call. Here's what Julio has been in his career in the NFL. Let's see. This is 2012. 8 targets, 7 catches, 64. 10 targets, 6 catches, 59. 13 targets, 11 catches, 182, 2 touchdowns. I'm not asking for 11 catches, 182, and 2 touchdowns because I don't think anybody thought that the Titans were getting that. I mean, I'm sure like the diehards can't let it goes. I'm sure they thought they were getting that. But I don't think anybody thought at 32 years old that you were getting what Julio was in 2013.
It'd be a stretch.
2017. So this was Matt Ryan's MVP year in the Super Bowl. Julio, 6 for 67 and a touch, 9 for 180 and 2 touches in the NFC title game, and 4 for 87, including just some beautiful catches in the Super Bowl against New England. I mean, I think to justify the trade, don't you have to feel like he won you a game? Like the way that you feel like AJ won you the San Francisco game.
Or at least be a difference maker.
Like how many
more
times,
than 2 games?
How many times during the first half of the year? I think what's crazy is I think everybody looks at how the Titans won all these games without Derrick Henry, and they're like, oh, my God, what a miracle. And it's like, well, they won the hard games for the most part with Derrick. It's really what they've done without Derrick was they beat the Rams. But
which was a defense win.
Other than that, Saints, Trevor Siemian, 49ers, Dolphins fired their coach, Texans, Jags. We knew the schedule was soft. They dropped 2 softies, Pittsburgh and Houston, and they should have won those games without Derrick. So we knew, we talked about it, hey, Derrick got you over the hump. Derrick got you the 2 wins over the Colts. But how many times this year in the first half of the season did we feel like Derrick won them that game?
Buffalo,
Derrick,
Seattle,
Colts the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Where you came back and you were like, Derrick won them the ball game. I think you need one of those from Julio in order to justify this trade. Now, if you win the Super Bowl, it doesn't matter that you blew up on Isaiah Wilson in the first round last year. None of that matters. The questionable Robinson moves that are questionable and are out there that you're like, your eyes are open. You're like, dude, some of these moves just whiff, it's awful. But they don't matter if you win the Super Bowl, none of it matters. But as far as justifying the trade, like if you win the Super Bowl, everybody did a good job. It's like, this is for all of you. That's why everybody gets a ring. To justify the Julio trade, he probably has to win them one playoff game. That's where I am on it. Let's get back to your phones on this next. 615-737-1025 on the Julio front. 615-737-1025. Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving. Right here, it is ESPN 1025 The Game. Let me tell all the fine folks, again, as we are live at Bridgestone Arena, and we're going to be giving away a pair of tickets to the Eagles at Bridgestone Arena later on in the program. Let me tell all the fine folks that, I have to tell anybody anything? Crazy, I don't. Stillman and Company, it's ESPN 105 The Game.
Hey, this is Phil Forsberg. And this is Smashville.
Forsberg, a shot, broken up in front, give it back to Forsberg, and here come the half.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 1025 The Game.
Gary Ashton here. Most people in Nashville know me as the don't sell without the intel and the guaranteed offer guy. But despite my accent, I'm also 100% guaranteed Nashville. I'm a guaranteed musician, a guaranteed dog lover, and you're also guaranteed to see me at every Titans and Preds game. Guaranteed offer means the Gary Ashton team with RE/MAX Advantage will sell your house for top dollar with no cleaning, staging, showings, or open houses, and give you up to 90 days to close. So there's plenty of time to find your next home. Guaranteed Nashville means my team lives here and loves it here. We've served Nashville for over 20 years, and we're passionate about helping the people we call neighbors and friends, which is why we've had a long-standing tradition of donating to the Vanderbilt Children's Hospital. If you're thinking about a guaranteed offer, get the only one that's guaranteed Nashville. Request a no-obligation offer by calling 615-301-1650 or go to GaryAshton.com today. Remember, Gary Ashton, guaranteed Nashville.
The Metal Tour of the Year. Megadeth, Lamb of God, with special guests, Trivium and In Flames. Friday, May 6th, Bridgestone Arena. 4 of metal's biggest artists share the stage for one epic night. This is a buck-up. On sale this Friday, 10 a.m. Buy tickets at livenation.com. Megadeth, Lamb of God, with special guests, Trivium and In Flames.
Middle Tennessee, you can count on an award-winning service team for all your home maintenance and improvement needs. Lee Company, we're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau and trusted by thousands of homeowners in our community. Our team is ready to assist with all your home maintenance projects, heating and air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, appliance service, and more. Experience the convenience of calling one phone number for all your home maintenance needs. Call Lee Company today at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
Jackson Hewitt needs you to know 3 things about filing taxes this year. 1, there are thousands of dollars worth of new tax credits on the table. 2, you have to file for them to make sure you get the right amount. 3, a Jackson Hewitt Tax Pro will help track down every credit you deserve. Tax credits for being a parent, taking care of a parent, going to school, and so much more. You don't want to miss out on thousands. Jackson Hewitt knows that. Discover thousands in tax credits and get your biggest refund guaranteed. Learn more at jacksonhewitt.com.
ESPN's Turon Davenport breaks down the Titans like no other.
On the field chemistry, I don't think it's going to be a problem. It's just going to be a process.
Catch TD Mondays at 11, Thursdays at 3, and Fridays at 8. Plus, the Talking with TD podcast drops every Wednesday.
When you draft players, it's not just for one season, it's for a career.
Presented by FreedomTireGuys.com, Nashville's premier mobile tire company, and Craneworks and Rental Works, your source for crane and equipment rental. Visit Craneworks.com. Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Vanderbilt football head coach Clark Lee. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
And this nonsense thinking like, well, he didn't get the targets. Gee, I wonder why a wide receiver doesn't get targets. Why could it be? Oh, because he's not open? And then people are like, well, he was open, but Tannehill got sacked. Well, yeah, that's what happens. That's why, like, don't you hear this stuff all the time about the beauty of the 11-man game? It takes everyone. So if a wide receiver is standing wide open and the quarterback gets sacked, we never hear about that for anybody else. But for Julio Jones, it's like, oh, well, if just they could have pass protected, he would have had 4 touchdowns because he was wide open. I mean, there's such nonsensical thinking going on with him. I don't understand it. People are desperate for him to be what he was. And maybe he will be in the playoffs, and everything will prove worth it. But if you think that regular season was worth a second-round pick and $15 million, you need to talk to somebody.
There you go. Paul Kaharski says you need to talk to somebody. Robbie and Rex show this morning. You need to talk to somebody if you think that Julio Jones is worth a second-round pick and $15 million. I feel like the text line may be telling a different tale. Caroline, what do we have in the text line?
One texter texts in and says, I think the issue with you criticizing the Julio trade is you making it out like it's Julio's fault that he can't play anymore. I know you criticize Robinson for the trade, but it's always Julio's hurt or Julio can't get open, when in reality, it's on Robinson.
Well, I don't understand that logic, right? So, for example, you trade for a guy and he doesn't play well, and then we're saying that because the guy doesn't play well, that's a problem. I don't understand I don't understand the point he's trying to make. Like that he thinks I'm personally mad at Julio.
I think that the texter is saying instead of putting it all on Julio, there is a good bit of John Robinson at fault in this scenario.
Well, what did I say last week when Mike Tannenbaum was on ESPN talking about, John Robinson should be executive of the year. And Matt, what was the guy on ESPN drives me crazy?
Sam Macho?
No. I don't know.
Orlovsky?
He drives me crazy. Oh, yeah.
Orlovsky's like, Vrabel shouldn't be coach of the year, but Robinson should be executive of the year.
And Todd Downing should be assistant coach of the year.
Get out of here with that. And so, I mean, I'm telling you, I like John Robinson. I do. I think John Robinson's a good general manager. And I've told you that we will run whoever we want out of town, and Robinson's the one guy that I tell the audience, I'm not sure I'll ever be able to say it on the air. Because if Floyd was still on this show, there's no way. I'm not saying he wouldn't have allowed me to say it, but I mean, he would have just thrown up the stop sign at third base the second anybody would have suggested it's time to get rid of Robinson. Just because that's who he was and that's how he felt about John and whatever. And considering that Floyd's been proven mostly right about this, I think that we should all understand that. But don't think that we haven't blamed Robinson. Caleb Farley, Dylan Radins. Like, these guys, Farley may be hurt his entire career. And if he is, guess who doesn't get a second contract? Farley. Radins right now can't play in the NFL. And if Radins doesn't turn into a starting tackle and he ends up making $5 million in his career as a second-round bust, even though it was Robinson's fault for making the pick, guess who doesn't get the second contract?
Dylan Radins.
Radins. And if the team loses a bunch of games because of all these mistakes, Robinson gets fired. Unfortunately, for the people that want me to blame Robinson, he's only had 6 straight winning seasons. So, I mean, what are they supposed to do? If you decide the Julio thing doesn't work out, what are you going to do? Cut Robinson? No. You cut Julio. So I don't understand, like, the player didn't produce, but don't blame the player. Of course it's not the player's fault. It's not Julio's fault that the Titans took on that contract when nobody else in the league was willing to do it. And that's the one thing that bothers me about this as much as anything else, which is nobody else in the NFL was willing to do what the Titans did. And I find that just to be the most annoying part of all of this.
One texter checks in and says, as a new player to the team, Julio just hasn't had enough continuity to get a rhythm going with Tannehill. He has been targeted 48 times and caught 31 of them.
That's what all those calls and texts were when they traded for him was, he'll be good next season. Not this season, but he'll be good next season.
Just wait for the playoffs. He'll get a few more reps under his belt. That's what he was brought in here to do.
A.J. Brown got hurt in training camp his rookie year. So he missed like the first 3 weeks and the first game. He came back, I believe, for the Patriot practices. He practiced solely with Mariota. Tannehill gets thrown in there in the middle of the season and has 1,000 yards. I understand AJ and Ryan Tannehill have developed a chemistry together that maybe Tannehill doesn't have with any other wide receiver. But I'm going to argue that that's probably a little bit overrated. AJ might just be a great player. Tannehill has spent his entire career with the Titans throwing the ball to Anthony Ferguson. And it didn't look like their chemistry produced a lot of results this year. So I don't buy into that. I buy into the fact that good players make big plays in big moments. and that good players are reliable and good players tell you they're good. I don't need somebody. Here's the thing. Well, let's use the Colts.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have to argue with anybody? Does anybody ever have to argue that Jonathan Taylor is good?
If you do argue with that, then you're stupid.
Like, there's nobody who argues that Quentin Nelson or Darius Leonard or Jonathan Taylor aren't good players. They're great players.
Mm-hmm.
When you argue with me that Carson Wentz is a good player, people want to argue about that. If I got to argue whether or not you're a good player, chances are you're not a good player. Like, when we're talking about guys that make a difference in the NFL, nobody argues Tom Brady's a good player. Nobody argues Aaron Donald's a good player. Matthew Stafford, I think, is a perfect example of this. Matthew Stafford's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think anybody thinks – everybody overinflated what Stafford was going to bring the Rams. Like, it was unfair to Stafford because if Stafford was as good as everybody made it out to be and Detroit was as bad as everybody was saying that that's what ruined Stafford, then he would have been like Aaron Rodgers with the Rams. But he was never Aaron Rodgers in his career, and he was never Aaron Rodgers in Detroit, and he had Calvin Johnson, and he had good seasons, but he was never Aaron Rodgers. He was never what Tom Brady is right now. So then to expect him to go to the Rams and turn into Aaron Rodgers, like that's just not what happens in the NFL. So Stafford is a player that you got to argue about whether or not he's good. And this is why I saw them today arguing about, are Matthew Stafford's interceptions going to keep the Rams from the Super Bowl? And I'm thinking, maybe that's a little too simplistic. Maybe Dak Prescott or Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers is going to keep Matthew Stafford from the Super Bowl. Maybe not just the interceptions, but if you got to argue whether or not somebody's a good player, then they're really not that great of a player. And that's the point here is that everybody's got to be like, well, here's the thing about Julio. He didn't have the time to spend with Tannehill in the offseason, and that's why, well, we never had to argue that. I mean, the one player that we had to argue about whether or not he was good, and I happened to be the guy who was arguing that he was good, was Derrick Henry. That was the one. That was the one where
Which sounds like a wild argument, in hindsight.
It was, I mean, it was every day for like 2 years. Like every day it was an argument about Derrick Henry. And it was unbelievable. And it was, they played David Fluellen over Derrick Henry, which Joe likes to pin on Derrick. Joe's like, yeah, he had to talk with Eddie George, and then all of a sudden just became the best running back since Walter Payton. Like, okay.
That's the power of Eddie George.
Yes. And look, TSU had a good season, and I think Eddie's probably a good coach, but it wasn't Eddie, who all of a sudden turned him into like Tony Dorsett.
And he won the Heisman
Terrell
Trophy.
Davis. And yeah, I mean, he had 155 yards in a playoff game before Vrabel and LaFleur showed up. I mean, come on. Derrick Henry's always been good. And that's the one guy that you had to argue about. Derrick Henry's actually a good player. Everybody else, like Antonio Brown. So when I went to Titans-Bucks practice, the first day I watched defense.
Mm-hmm.
The first day I watched offense, second day I watched defense. And so the first day I'm watching offense, I'm watching Tannehill and the Titans offense. And so I walk over when they did a team period, and I was talking to Gentry Estes, who had been on the other field. And I said to Gentry, I go, what'd it look like over here? And Gentry was like, dude, Antonio Brown. Godwin's in, and Evans is in, and Gronk's in, and all these guys. And Gentry's like, Antonio Brown was just unbelievable. Nobody has to argue whether or not Antonio Brown's a good player. There is nobody who's arguing that Antonio Brown is
That's not the issue with Antonio Brown.
Great player.
Yeah.
But like with all this stuff, you got to argue with me that somebody's great? I struggle with that a little bit. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. We'll get back to your text. Plus, there is a development in the AFC South in Indianapolis. Oh, they should change the name to the Indianapolis Flip-Floppers. I've got a thought on that. We'll do that next. Stillman and Company right here, Bridgestone Arena. Predators tonight at 7 o'clock. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Despite all that sunshine, we're only warming our way to the mid-40s today. We do have 50s in store for Wednesday and Thursday, and potentially more snow. That's on Saturday.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Need more hires in the new year? Check out Indeed. With Instant Match, you'll receive a list of quality candidates when you sponsor a job. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Hey, it's Jared from my official sportsbook app, the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Wild Card Weekend just got wilder. FanDuel is hooking up new customers with 30-1 enhanced odds, and that means you can win $150 on any team to win any wild card game with a $5 bet. Just sign up with the FanDuel Sportsbook app and make your deposit to claim your 30-1 enhanced odds. There's no better place to bet the playoffs than on America's #1 sportsbook app. It's simple and easy to use, and when you win, FanDuel will pay your winnings in as little as 2 hours. Already have FanDuel? Well, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with $50 when you refer a friend, and your friend will get $50 too. Don't miss your chance to win $150 on a $5 bet with the promo code JGM when you sign up. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app using the promo code JGM and pick your wild card team before kickoff. 21 and older in present Tennessee. New users only. $10 first deposit required. Must wager in a designated offer market. Max bonus $150. Bonus for Tennessee users fulfilled in site credit within 72 hours. Tennessee site credit expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
Treating erectile dysfunction with acoustic wave therapy has been getting a lot of attention lately. But you should know that some are promising results we just haven't seen and charging a lot of money for the treatments as well. This is Kim for the Tennessee Men's Clinic, and if you're looking at acoustic wave therapy or any option to help your ED, you really should call us first. Unlike wave therapy only clinics, the Tennessee Men's Clinic wave therapy protocols do use acoustic wave technology, but we also often combine it with other treatments that can give most of our patients far higher satisfaction rates. There is no surgery nor any type of invasive procedure required. And even better, depending on your treatment strategy and with our urologist and provider's guidance, you can likely have sex the day after your appointment. We even have other treatments that can help you last up to an hour. Plus, for a limited time, we're waiving our normal appointment charge, which includes a PSA and T test, and offering a free ultrasound, altogether nearly a $400 value, for free. So make an appointment today. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects, treatments, extra results vary.
Bank of England Mortgage has been helping Americans live the dream of home ownership for over 100 years. Since their humble beginnings in England, Arkansas in 1898, they've grown into a nationwide mortgage lender with 141 offices across 45 states, including 3 convenient locations right here in Middle Tennessee. Find out more at BOE1214.com. Bank of England Mortgage is a division of Bank of England Mortgage. Equal housing lender, member FDIC, NMLS 418-481.
Darren McFarland.
And a mulligan that we all look for in golf. Lord knows our game could use it.
Willie Donick.
Outworked and outperformed a lot of other really good players.
Chase McCabe.
I want some sort of trade protection.
Darren, Donick, and Chase have you covered weekdays from 10 to 2. Presented by Curacion CBD on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is on. Delivered by TriStar Moving.
This loss is on the shoulders of Carson Wentz. Takes a lot for me to say that. Okay, so listen, I think this is one of the more recent.
Give him a hug. Give him a hug. I'm growing. I'm growing. That's big. That's big.
One of the worst losses in recent NFL memory. I think it's probably one of the worst losses in the history of the Colts organization. Everybody has a hand in this loss.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You're not a playoff caliber team and go and lose to a 2-win team because somebody played well. Your offensive line got whooped, 7 sacks. Receivers didn't get separation, couldn't run the football. Your defensive line couldn't get after Trevor Lawrence. You got no coverage that was good. This team led the NFL in takeaways defensively. The Jaguars were the worst team as far as giveaways. They got 0, okay? That being said, Carson Wentz is not the reason that the Colts lost this game. He's also not the reason the Colts won this game. And he was brought there to be the reason in this type of game, the difference maker in this type of game.
So Dan Orlovsky, half in, half out, has always been all in on Carson Wentz. And he's like, he didn't play well. But he's not the reason they lost the game, even though I watched the game.
What is the reason why they lost the game, Dan?
Yeah, but it's totally because of Carson Wentz. Like, there's no way around it. So after the game was over, Frank Reich was asked about Wentz, and he was like, he's our quarterback. And remember, part of my excitement about the Indianapolis Colts signing on with Carson Wentz was that they were so committed to him. A first, a third, $20 million against the cap this year, $28 million against the cap next year. And they are in on Carson Wentz. And I just love it. Apparently, Frank Reich, Sunday after the game, said he's our quarterback. Yesterday, asked if Wentz will still be the quarterback next season, Reich would not answer, quote, "We loved the team we had this year. We knew everyone we brought in this year. We expected to play winning football. Next year's roster will be next year's roster. I don't want to open it up about one player and then start talking about all of them." By the way, in the same press conference last year, when asked about Phillip Rivers, Reich said, quote, "As I sit here right now, yes, I want Phillip Rivers to be my starting quarterback next year."
We've been uncommittal.
So, after the game, he's our quarterback. Reportedly, and I don't plan on watching Hard Knocks. I'm not a Hard Knocks guy. I was when I was 13. I'm not now. It's all the same. And I know this is a different one.
It's more fun when it's the Raiders.
This is the regular season, but I think it's all the same. Like, no matter who the team is, it's like you have that narrator that's like, for all rookies, a life in the NFL is not easy. But for others, like linebacker DJ Johnson, life can be especially tough. And then they show him like on the practice field, and you see a coach, DJ Johnson, you're the one who's always out. What are you doing? You know, like that. And like that's Hard Knocks. And I've seen it enough. It's the same.
It's like Last Chance U.
It's all the same. So I'm not interested in watching Hard Knocks, and I haven't watched Hard Knocks yet. But like everybody's talking about that tonight or this week's Hard Knocks, whenever it premieres, that this is like going to be like the Hard Knocks. Because apparently after the game was over, they went back to the facility when they got back, and Ballard, Reich, and Irsay went in Irsay's office and closed the door.
Ooh.
So, and according to the response, Irsay wanted answers. Now, Irsay's a big talker. I mean, he talks a lot. So apparently Irsay did a lot of talking. And then for the next day, for Reich to be like, I don't want to talk about individuals today, you know, when asked about Carson Wentz, I'm a little concerned. I'm a little concerned that Indianapolis may have wised up and may have stopped taking their stupid pills and may go out there and go get a real quarterback. And here's my thing about this. I think that finding a quarterback is like true love. You know how everybody says it'll happen when you're least expecting it? Mm-hmm. I don't think that's totally true. I think if you're looking for it, you can be on Hinge and find somebody who's also looking for it on Hinge and get married and live happily ever after. I also think that you can bump into somebody at a train station and all of a sudden that's your person for forever. And it just, you know, it happens. Just like I think you can draft somebody number 1 overall and then be your franchise quarterback. And I think you can take a guy in the 6th round at pick 199 and they end up being the greatest quarterback who ever lived. It's all possible. And my biggest fear with Indianapolis is the mystery box, which is they go back into the hunt, they go looking for a quarterback, and all of a sudden, chips fall the right way, and they end up with Aaron Rodgers. And now it's like, oh, no, not Aaron. Oh, God. So when they acquired Wentz, there was like a giant relief off my shoulders because it was like the idea of them getting a Deshaun or getting an Aaron or trading up in the draft and drafting a quarterback who you might not think is very good right now, but ends up being a great quarterback, or a 4th-round pick for Tannehill as a backup, and then he comes out. That kind of thing. Like, that's gone. Wentz is the guy, and even if somebody else comes in there that's better than Wentz, they can't play the other guy because they're pot committed to Wentz. Which is what happened to Wentz in Philadelphia when Foles was better than Wentz. And then that's what happened when Hurts was better than Wentz. They played Hurts, and Wentz, you know, threw a temper tantrum about it and wanted to leave. And I was like, oh, yes, now they're committed to this. And now it makes me feel, has Indianapolis wised up?
I mean, how much can they really do about it, even if they had?
Well, you didn't think that Philadelphia could do anything about it or the Rams could do anything about it with Jared Goff. You can do it. It's just going to
It's going to cost a lot.
What does Indianapolis always have in abundance, though?
Money. They have cap space.
So.
But do they have draft stock?
No. Here's
That's
the
thing.
They gave up their first for Carson Wentz
A first and a third.
So the third was this past year.
Okay.
So the first is this year. So they don't have the first. So they can't do what San Francisco did and package a bunch of picks to move up to third and get Trey Lance. And I don't think there's a good enough upgrade with Garoppolo or somebody like that would be available unless they were to go get a Watson. And I don't think you can get Watson or Rodgers or any of Russell if you don't have a first-round pick. So I'm with you that I think it's going to be hard for Indianapolis to go out and find somebody better. But the chance that they could is the thing that makes me uneasy, Because, again, it could be a guy in the second round that we all of a sudden, we don't think's very good, that's the next Patrick Mahomes.
Well, and that's what I'm thinking is this could work in the Colts' favor or very much so against Indianapolis, is that this isn't or need, like so many other teams have needs that aren't at quarterback, and there isn't some once-in-a-generation quarterback that's going to go first overall, a la Trevor Lawrence. I mean, Indianapolis could get Kenny Pickett in the second round. And Kenny Pickett could turn into, Aaron Rodgers.
Sure.
So I think it could work for or against Indianapolis because they could get a pretty solid quarterback in the second round. But also, this isn't a strong quarterback draft. So what's to say that quarterback that might be the second best in the draft that they can get in the second round is going to be any good?
So there's nothing to say that, but there's nothing to say the guy's not going to be any good either.
It's true.
Like 1983 was a great quarterback class. You had Elway, and then I think after Elway, it was like Todd Blackledge and Tony Eason, and a bunch of random guys in the first round. Then you had Jim Kelly. Then at the end of the first round, you had Dan Marino. And they were saying, in that 83 draft, part of the reason that all these other quarterbacks ended up in the first round was they knew how bad the next year's class was.
Mm-hmm.
First quarterback went in the second round, but it was Boomer Esiason. Well, if the Indianapolis Colts select Boomer Esiason this year, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be an issue. And so that's, the 2014 draft had 3 first-round quarterbacks in it. They had Blake Bortles, Johnny Manziel, and Teddy Bridgewater, but the Raiders took Derek Carr in the second round. And that's where I get weary about Indianapolis going back to the well, is that they might actually get a good quarterback. And I prefer to live in a world where I know Indy has a bad quarterback.
Do you think that it's coming down to the point where Indianapolis has to hit on this next quarterback, or else it will be pretty detrimental both to the cap and their draft stock?
If Indianapolis goes after another quarterback, which again, and I don't know if we're reading too much into what Reich did or didn't do.
Mm-hmm.
If Indy goes after another quarterback and misses, Reich and Ballard will get fired. Even though everybody loves them, I think, the shine is starting to come off the apple a little bit.
I mean, if you can't find a quarterback for your franchise, then you aren't on a pedestal.
I still think Carson Wentz is their guy next year. But the Reich comments have me very concerned that Indianapolis would consider a change. And again, I just don't want the mystery box because I've had enough time dealing with Andrew Luck and Peyton Manning, and I just don't want to deal with it anymore. And if Carson Wentz is your quarterback, I know I don't have to worry about it. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Coming up next, Vanderbilt has a big basketball game. I saw it on the bottom of the corner of the screen last night during the championship game. Big basketball game with Kentucky. Do you know who's going to be able to go?
Not very many people.
Well, I'll be able to go.
Well, great.
You'll be able to go.
I will.
Ladarius will be able to go.
Mm-hmm.
But there's someone who apparently is not able to go. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company at ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The MTSU Blue Raiders live here.
Touchdown, Middle Tennessee! 3-ball, yes, sir!
And when you're in the borough, tune us in on 97.5.
In the end zone, caught, touchdown!
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Bob's Steak and Chop House is a renowned award-winning steakhouse in major cities across the U.S. Nashville is lucky to have a location here in downtown at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Fine dining is brought to a new level at Bob's with awards like the Wine Spectator Award 4 years in a row, TripAdvisor Certificate of Excellence 5 years in a row, and Open Tables Diner's Choice Award 6 years in a row. Fine dining at its best. Bob's Steak and Chop House, open Wednesday through Saturday, 5 to 10 p.m. in the Omni Nashville Hotel. Complimentary valet parking is always available.
Check out the January clearance sale going on now at Social Furniture. You can save up to 70% off Ashley Furniture. Come first for the best selection of furniture before it's gone, and you don't want to miss out. Social Furniture has truckloads of the best selection of furniture. Get your nightstands, mattresses, bar stools, sofas, and recliners all on sale now with no waiting. You can take home your new furniture today. Visit Social Furniture on the west side at 5412 Charlotte Avenue or on the web at mysocialfurniture.com.
When Nashville is in need for tire sales or service for their business, the Tire Man has been there for over 20 years to help. The Tire Man repairs new and used tires for construction equipment, dump trucks, 18-wheelers, box trucks, fleets, plus they sell new tires for vehicles of all sizes. When your company needs tires, call the Tire Man, 615-663-6040, where they come to you, fully licensed and insured, and they can't wait to work with you. That's the Tire Man at 615-663-6040.
The Game Nashville is a proud sponsor of the 16th Annual Father and Son Bowl, February the 12th. This flag football event is a fun day of football for fathers and sons ages 5 and older. You don't have to be athletic or in shape. It's all about having big fun. There's a skill zone, tailgate zone, door prizes, and more. And a portion of the proceeds benefit fatherless children. This event sells out every year, so register now at fathersonbowl.com. That's fathersonbowl.com.
Your home value is way up. Why not use that equity to make your house even nicer for the new year? Hey, Willie Donick here talking about a cash-out refi with Loan Pronto. So call Loan Pronto now. They're fast-tracking home refis for the new year, and people are getting checks for $60, $70, $100 grand or more. And right now, Loan Pronto can even cover all your closing costs. Listen, your home's value is way up. All you have to do is convert that equity into cash. Cash for a new luxurious kitchen or a new home office, or start that swimming pool so you can use it for the summer. Call Loan Pronto now. You can even close in as little as 2 weeks with a big check. Do it now and you can even skip your next 2 house payments. So make 2022 the year you fix up your home and reinvest with Loan Pronto's help. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval. Not all loans apply.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good, really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless, now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, with Darren, Donick, and Chase middays from 10 to 2. Talk amongst themselves.
It's not a star-studded group. They're not all there.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
A Cromwell media station.
Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. With Karen Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving. ESPN 102.5 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and now Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry. 102.5 The Game's Preds Game Day broadcast brought to you by Hermitage Design Center, the professional source for lighting, hardware, appliance, custom kitchens, and baths on the web at gohermitage.com. So I teased this before going to break that I had a Vanderbilt story to talk about. And we were talking about it, and you and Ladarius, who's our on-site engineer today, you guys were talking about, well, you know, what could it be? And I'm like, you think that this isn't a crazy story? You think I'd be talking about Vanderbilt at 4 o'clock if this wasn't a big story?
Yeah, that's very fair.
So, Vanderbilt is playing Kentucky tonight on ESPN. And this is the one game that, like, if you have a Vanderbilt season ticket package for basketball, you can sell this game and make, like, your entire money for the rest of the season back. If you sell the Tennessee and the Kentucky game, you can make all your money back. So Kentucky fans are going to pack Memorial Gym tonight. They always have, they always will, and this is always a game every year. You know, when you work in sports, people ask you got tickets. This is one that people always ask for, is Kentucky basketball. And so they're playing tonight. So if I wanted to go to the game, I could go. If you wanted to go to the game, you could go. Mm-hmm. If Ladarius wanted to the game, he could go to the game, he could go. If Ian wanted to go to the game, he could go. But Vanderbilt students are not allowed to go to the Vanderbilt basketball game.
That is such a shame.
So Vanderbilt last year announced that a select number of senior students would be permitted inside Memorial Gym for the first time since 2020 because they wanted them to be able to experience it even if people couldn't come. This year, they're telling the students, you can't come. As part of the university's Commodore Care period that restricts in-person activities until January 24th, not a single student is permitted to claim their free ticket and step foot inside Memorial Gym for the next 5 Vanderbilt men's and women's basketball games. As students start to head back to campus with the start of classes on January 18th, none will be permitted to attend many of the most important basketball games of the year. No new restrictions exist on who can attend games with proof of vaccination or a negative test. Anyone is permitted inside the gym. Instead, students sitting in sections G through K, paying customers, will grace the wooden bleachers where students have slapped the floor of Memorial Gymnasium for decades. Currently, this is the Vanderbilt Hustler, for the asinine price of $200 to the general public, you can watch Vanderbilt play Kentucky from the best seats in the house, the student section. The university restricted student section tickets to season ticket holders for $20 per ticket, saying that they were unavailable for resale. However, surprise, surprise, these tickets have ended up on the resale market. So instead of Vanderbilt students who have to be vaccinated, and I believe they have to be boosted anyways to be on campus at Vanderbilt, in order to go to the game, you have to buy a ticket and go in. You cannot have a student buy a student section ticket and go to the game because as part of Commodore Care's program, they want no large gatherings of students until January 24th. Now, let me state this for the record. I am not Clay Travis. I am not going to go ahead and take a COVID argument and automatically pick one side of the argument because that's how I feel or that's what I have to say to the people that watch me and support me and listen to me and what I have to say. And I've been vaccinated. I've been vaccinated a second time. I've been boosted. I believe in a lot of the COVID stuff about how it kills people and about how it still should be worried about. Not at the level that some people want to worry about it, but I think it's a big deal. I think it is. But this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. So the Kentucky basketball game tonight. First of all, we've talked many a time about how Vanderbilt doesn't have a lot of fans in Nashville. I wouldn't be talking about Vanderbilt at 4 o'clock if I didn't think this was a big enough story that warranted talking about it at 4 o'clock. Who do you think's paying $200 to sit in the student section at Vanderbilt tonight?
I mean, I think it's ridiculous for a few reasons.
Do you think it's Vanderbilt fans?
Vanderbilt fans? No. It's Kentucky fans.
Of course. So you're going to have Kentucky fans
in the Vanderbilt
student section. So this is my thing now with Vanderbilt. And the thing I will say that I appreciate about Vanderbilt is we have ragged on Vanderbilt for years and years and years, and they've never bothered us about it. And it's going to continue. But, I mean, you guys, every time somebody new gets appointed, you guys tell me you care. When they get a new athletic director, they get up there and say, we understand the problems Vanderbilt has, and we're willing to fix it. When you hire a new football coach, that football coach gets up there and says, I wouldn't have come to Vanderbilt if I wasn't sure of the commitment that they were willing to make to give us a chance to compete in the SEC. And they just got a new chancellor, and the new chancellor came in, and he said, I care about sports. Vanderbilt doesn't care about sports. The end. That's it. They don't care about sports. This is the exact same, and I get it, COVID's a big deal. I understand. But nobody else in the SEC is putting Kentucky fans in the student section. Nobody else. Did you see the game last night? Nobody else is doing that. And so this is the exact same as the story that Floyd told all of you, which is why he could never get over. He could never get over this story, and he always ripped on Vanderbilt and said if he was commissioner of the SEC, he'd kick Vandy out of the SEC. This is ridiculous. Floyd said when he was with the Oilers and they played that 1 year at Vanderbilt that they went in there and said these aren't NFL locker rooms. So they went to Vanderbilt and they said we're going to build new locker rooms for this season for the Oilers. Then we'll move out. And you will have these brand new NFL locker rooms that you guys can have for however long you want. And Vanderbilt looked at him and said, no, we're good. We're good. And he could never get over that. And that was 20 years ago. And they could never get over that. We had the Joe Rexrode story a couple years ago, like maybe 3 or 4 years ago in the Tennessean, that was basically like, and I think Adam Sparks may have written this actually, but I can't remember. It was Adam or Joe. And it was basically the inside story that people with money were being told, don't donate to sports, donate to the school. And now we got this. I'm sorry. They don't care about sports. The end. Vanderbilt does not care about sports. I can go off. I watched the end of the Vanderbilt basketball game on Saturday. I watched how Jerry Stackhouse coached at the end of the game. He looked like somebody who had never seen a basketball game before, much less played in the NBA for 20 years. I mean, it was embarrassing. He called 2 timeouts to draw up a shot, and they didn't get a shot off at the end of the game. And I mean, I can go in depth about how bad it was. It was bad. Jerry Stackhouse should have never been hired. Jerry Stackhouse should be fired. Jerry Stackhouse, but it doesn't matter because nobody cares. Nobody in Nashville cares, and so it's not going to matter. But, like, this is the seminal moment for me where I've just decided Vanderbilt doesn't care about sports. And here's why. Here's the one example of how I know Vanderbilt doesn't care about sports. And I know Vanderbilt is the most liberal university in the SEC, so they're going to have the most, the strictest COVID restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, Tim Corbin played a series in Knoxville at Tennessee. And he came out after that series. Tennessee had full stands. And Tim Corbin said, well, we should have full stands too. And I remember when he said that, and I was like, ooh, Tim Corbin, better be careful.
Spicy.
Those Vanderbilt people, they don't like being told what to do. Tim Corbin might want to mind your P's and Q's. All of a sudden, full stands at Hawkins Field. And I'm like, oh, so when Tim Corbin says it.
Well, when you win championships, you can get things your way.
Then we care.
Yes.
But everything else, we don't care.
And I just find it incredibly ironic that this is abiding by the rules of the quote-unquote Commodore Care program. But Commodore don't care if you got $200 to spend on a ticket. Commodore don't care at all.
We should change it to the Commodore don't give a you-know-what about sports program. That's what this is.
I mean, it's just silly. It's telling students what they can and cannot do unless you have money to dish out. Because then COVID doesn't spread if you spent $200 on a ticket, but it spreads if you have a free student section ticket. It's just an asinine way of thinking.
So I think their way of thinking this, though, is like, well, if the Kentucky fans come in there and have COVID and spread COVID, then, they're
then it won't be to the Vanderbilt
it's not
students.
Our campus that we have. But here's the question. What about the players?
The players will be there.
So the players can play?
It doesn't make any sense to me. And it is Vanderbilt University. A university has students. The students should be your number one priority to engulf them in the college experience.
Would you turn it around the other way and say only the students can come and nobody else can come?
That's what I would think would be the most logical thing, because it's obvious. I mean, it's obviously just a money grab, it kind of seems like, to say that everyone else except students can come. Even though you spend an ungodly amount of money on tuition every year to go to the school, you cannot go to the basketball games unless you pay more money to go see the basketball games.
And they're not even the ones getting the money. Think about it. They're selling $20 tickets to Vanderbilt season ticket holders, all 43 of them. They're selling $20 tickets. And these people are turning around and putting them on the secondary site at $200 a crack. And those people that are Kentucky fans are buying those to sit courtside to watch Kentucky beat Vanderbilt by 37 points tonight. That's what this is. So Vanderbilt's not even getting the money. They're only getting $20 for that ticket. It's, the mama and the papas that have had Vanderbilt tickets for 55 years that are taking advantage of this one opportunity to buy more tickets. Mm-hmm. And they're turning around and they're making, $180 off of this ticket. That's
so what's the point?
For Vanderbilt?
Yeah.
There is no point.
Commodore don't care.
That's what
Commodore do not care.
It does not. It's just, this is what I think. Somebody at the higher up of the university said, we need to close all student activities. Every student activity needs to be shut down for the first 2 weeks that we return. Remember?
But you can go to class.
Early in COVID. Now, I don't know what the rules are with that. I think classes start the 18th. So I don't know what the rules are with. But early in COVID, remember when Florida said if you're coming from New York, you have to quarantine for 2 weeks?
Uh-huh.
Well, that was March of 2020. This is different, but I think they're basically saying you went home for Christmas and New Year's, you come home, everybody, you gotta do whatever. and that's what they're doing. Is they're all, staying there and, you stay in your dorm room for 2 weeks, so let's cancel all activities. And then it's like, well, what about sports? Oh, well, we can't cancel that because the SEC's not going to give us our $50 million check if we don't
need
cancel
that.
sports, so we'd like to do that. Okay, so we'll do that. Okay, but what about the students? Nope. That's part of the student activities. We don't want students congregating together, so we can't do that.
But what's stopping students from congregating together in a study room or at a bar
So they're
or
not
going out to dinner?
So they don't want them doing any of that.
Well, okay.
But
they're going to do it.
But they can't control that. This they can control. So it's like, hey, we're cutting it off right here. We're putting our foot down, which is fine, except for the fact that it's stupid. And again, I am like a COVID, like I am somebody, I've had COVID. I've had 3 shots, of a vaccine. Like I'm not somebody that's like, we need to be able to do whatever we want all the time. I'm not one of those people. But this is ridiculous. And all I'm going to say is this, like I said, it just proves to me that Vanderbilt doesn't care about sports. That's, at the end of the day, Vanderbilt, Candace Story Lee can launch. Remember the Vandy United Fund that they were talking about? And Joe was like, this $300 million is going to be great for Vandy football. And I was like, okay, call me when the shovel goes in the ground. Because I know the bull crap. I know. And because I feel like you were kind of new, you had a hard time equating how, like, this money they say they already have in these drawings that they're already showing could equate to nothing. This is because they don't care. Because I know they don't care. Because they didn't care when Floyd wanted to build them new locker rooms. They didn't care when people were trying to donate money to sports and they said, no, donate money somewhere else. And they don't care today when it's going to be Kentucky fans sitting in the student section. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. And again, I'm just saying, Stillman and Company, live from Bridgestone Arena. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Titans on threes, 1, 2, 3.
A.J. Brown. Westbrook Akita, touchdown. First down, and that should do it.
The Titans are the #1 seed in the AFC.
A hell of a job. Came up with some huge plays.
Heading into the playoffs after beating the Texans 28-25 in Houston.
We found a way to make plays, and that's why I'm proud of our guys.
With home field throughout the playoffs, who will the Titans face in the divisional round?
If everything holds, it's going to be the winner of Bengals Raiders.
Keep it locked for the best Titans talk.
It's going to be a heck of a ride here.
On ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Presented for the people by Caesars Sportsbook. The Goblet has dropped. Download it. Must be 21 and up.
Wow, I've got a whole 5 minutes before my next call. What should I do? Grab a snack? Nah. Text with mom? That's more than a 5-minute proposition. I have been looking at getting a new bank account. Is that even possible?
Can't believe you have extra time? You won't believe what you can do with it. Open a Regions checking account online in as little as 5 minutes. Then enjoy award-winning service and banking tools and tech that help you live in the moment. Learn more at regions.com/live-in-the-moment. Regions Bank, member FDIC.
Do you really want to go through another year with that awful joint pain? Well, don't do it. Resolve right now to get yourself moving again for 2022. Willie Donick here. It's time to call the folks at QC Kinetics. Non-surgical regenerative treatments for joint pain. We're talking lasting results using natural biologics. No surgery, no pain meds, no steroids, and no downtime. This is really exciting stuff. Regenerative, restorative treatments that actually encourage your body to heal itself using highly concentrated natural biologics. Patients rave about it for hip pain relief, knee pain relief, shoulder and back pain relief. Don't let them give you the steroids. Don't let them tell you your surgery is the only option. Get a free second opinion at QC Kinetics and do it now. And imagine life in 2022 without pain. Call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics. 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024 for QC Kinetics.
Hey, it's Jared. Your body needs water. That doesn't mean it has to be boring. And I'm here to tell you to give Focus a try. Focus is a sparkling water with a spark. It's infused with a boost of natural tea caffeine, so you get clean energy without sugar, calories, or crash. Go to drinkfocus.com to find the full lineup of flavors and get them delivered right to your door. Enter promo code GAME at checkout for 15% off your first order. Focus is also available at your local Publix. That's Focus, P-H-O-C-U-S, on the web at drinkfocus.com.
Hey everybody, Robbie Stanley here to tell you about my friends at Jasper's. Jasper's is a casual restaurant and bar located on West End Avenue, equipped with TVs, a game room available for private events, a grab-and-go market, and free parking. Yes, free parking. This neighborhood spot is Nashville's new go-to restaurant and bar. You can try their selection of elevated bar food ranging from appetizers to chicken sandwiches to flatbread pizzas and the famous smash burger, as well as any of their delicious cocktails. So visit my friends at Jasper's, located at 1918 West End Avenue, and tell them that Robbie sent you.
Yo, this is Justin from Music Vintage. We're here to provide you with all your vintage apparel needs. Tons of great shoes and memorabilia from your past. We're located in the heart of East Nashville at 2503 Gallatin Avenue, where we do buy, sell, and trade. Got some clothes your stepdad gave you in the 90s? Found some dope clothes in your granddad's closet? Bring it by, we'll give you a cash offer. Found some at a thrift store and don't know where to sell it? Bring it by, we'll give you a cash offer. Got some new Jordans that don't quite fit well? Bring it by and we'll give you a cash offer. Music Vintage, here to provide you with all your vintage and shoe needs. See y'all soon, Nashville.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Stillman and Company on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
Vanderbilt's COVID policy will not allow students to attend today's game, but it will allow Kentucky fans to buy student section tickets on the secondary market for $200 and sit courtside at Memorial Gym as Kentucky takes on Vanderbilt tonight.
I mean, would that not just make you sick, the idea of your opponent sitting in the student section?
I just feel like if you're at Vanderbilt, and I said this about Derek Mason when he was the coach, and it was that I thought Derek was the perfect person for that job because he knew he was playing behind the eight ball. He was always going to get his teeth kicked in. I don't think Derek's the best coach ever. I like Derek, and I think Derek likes me, but I never felt like Derek was this unbelievable football coach. But I felt like he understood what it meant to be the Vanderbilt coach, and he got his teeth kicked in, and he smiled while doing it and didn't complain. And he made his $3 million a year and lived in Green Hills and drove his nice car and all kinds of stuff. And everybody was happy. And then they fired him because they think they can do better. And I'm just telling you, I just don't think they care about sports. And if you don't care about sports, I don't think you can do better. And I think this just shows that they don't care about sports. Let's go to the text line. Phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. What do we have in there?
Ben texts into the text line and says, this virus is out of control. I'm just grateful that they can play the games at all, fair for everyone.
Okay, so I do not – my thing about the Vanderbilt COVID policy issue is that this isn't really about COVID. You know, like we can take any issue we want, right, about so-and-so's out because they tested positive, but they're asymptomatic, and you know you're going to get the same amount of people that are going to have their arguments about COVID, the end. Like, you know you're going to have someone that's like, you know, this virus isn't going anywhere. We need to learn to live with it. And you're going to have the other person who's like, you know, this virus has killed 800,000 people. In my opinion, the Vanderbilt student policy has nothing to do with COVID. Like, they did it because of COVID. Mm-hmm. But, like, is that really, like, anybody's advice that anyone has given? Like, I'm not sure I've heard this kind of advice from anyone. I'm not sure I've heard it from Joe Biden. I'm not sure I've heard it from Dr. Fauci. Like, I'm not sure I've heard it from anybody.
Well, it's illogical.
So what are they doing? And it's just like they just came up with it, and no other school in the SEC is doing this. I'm not even sure any other school in the Power 5 is doing this. Now, the Pac-12 might be different because the Pac-12, they may just not even have students. But, like, what's going on? Like, this is Nashville, you know, like it's different. And so you know, you can make it about the virus. To me, it's not about the virus. It's about the ridiculousness in this policy and what it proves about Vanderbilt that this is, in fact, the policy.
And I think it's Vanderbilt's way of saying we feel like we need to do something since there are so many COVID outbreaks. So we'll do this because it makes us feel better about it. When it really, at its core, doesn't make any sense. But Heidi from Dixon texts into the text line and says, if they wanted to stop the virus, they would have banned contact sports for the last 2 years. It's all money-driven across the country.
See, I don't think contact sports makes much of a difference either. I remember last year the Titans, when they had their breakout their issues with COVID, they went to Minnesota. And this was really important. Shane Bowen tested positive like Sunday or Saturday morning. And so he didn't go to Minnesota. And then all of a sudden, one by one, it was like 3 dudes a day for like 15 days or 10 days or something. And by the end of it, guys that were originally put on the COVID list were able to come back for that Buffalo game on a Tuesday night. But we had Dr. Schaffner from Vanderbilt on when all this happened. And Dr. Schaffner, I remember asking the question, like, if Derrick Henry has the virus and all these Viking players tackled him, then how does this not affect, like, Derrick Henry? And he was like, it doesn't. And so I think what contact sports have proven is that it doesn't really, the virus isn't much of a thing in contact sports because you're not like looking at someone standing right next to them and breathing on them for like that 15 or whatever minutes that matters to all these people. Like you're not doing any of that. So I don't think it's about shutting down contact sports. I will say this, all these other countries that are shutting things down, there has to be a reason that they're doing it. Like I don't think the people of Canada and Great Britain and Australia, and I don't think all these people don't have a clue. I don't understand why they're doing it. And I get depressed seeing a hockey game in Canada with no fans in the stands. But I'm sure there's a reason for why they're doing what they're doing. Again, I don't know what their reason is, but I'm sure it exists. But this is, fans can come, just not Vanderbilt students can come, but then we're going to put the Vanderbilt students that play out on the basketball floor. And I don't, that I don't get. That one I struggle with. Now, again, we're talking about Vanderbilt at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'm just not sure that this story's that big of a deal. But it's only a big of a deal because it's so ridiculous.
Max Hers. Max Hers was a Vanderbilt student and loves Vanderbilt athletics. So
I think Max and Vanderbilt aren't the best of buds right now.
Well, I'm not going to speak for Max, but I can imagine there are Vanderbilt students that love sports and would love to go to a Kentucky game.
They're not going tonight.
And they can't. Well, they could if they dish out $200.
Yeah, so they can buy tickets.
They can buy tickets, which is the stupidest
thing.
Can't
be a student and go.
Right.
Trevor Maddich, I am struggling with last night's national championship game. Struggling. I just can't accept. I have a hard time accepting Georgia. I do. Trevor Maddich, what does he think? What did he think of last night's championship game? We'll have him on next. Stillman and Company, we're live at Bridgestone Arena. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. You'll see Bridgestone Arena has all kinds of Hiller logos up around because they're proud supporters of the Predators, proud supporters of Vandy, proud supporters of the Tennessee Volunteers. They absolutely love their sports teams. They also love taking care of your home, and I know this because they take great care of my home. To help customers tackle necessary replacements, Hiller is extending their lower 2021 pricing through the end of January. So this means the lowest pricing expected all year. You've noticed all the inventory shortages and empty shelves, and now there are serious shortages on equipment and products for your home. HVAC systems, tankless water heaters, and generators are going to be extremely limited in 2022. And because of supply issues and rising costs of parts, manufacturers are rapidly increasing the price of equipment. So if you need a replacement, call my friends at Hiller today. Do not wait until you are out of options. Hiller's work is backed by the Happy You'll Be Your Services Free guarantee, and you can learn more at happyhiller.com. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. My guys, call the Happy Face Truck today.
This is Tanner Janot, and this is Smashville.
And now down the right wing side, Tanner Janot. His shot, he scored! Tanner Janot with the shot!
This is the flagship of the Nashville Predators Radio Network. ESPN 1025, The Game.
Blood Assurance is the only nonprofit blood centers in Middle Tennessee where 100% of your blood donations go to help save lives for people right here in our community. Blood Assurance is proud to announce the opening of its newest location at the Oakwood Commons Shopping Center at 4686 Lebanon Pike in Hermitage. Find it in your heart to donate today. Go to bloodassurance.org/schedule for information.
Hey, it's Chase McKay. Bet on more than the final score with One Game Parlay at BetMGM. One Game Parlay is an exciting feature designed to help you make selections within a single game from over 400 bet types, including team and player props. Log into your BetMGM account and create your best parlay before the game starts. New to BetMGM? Sign up today and make your first bet risk-free up to $1,000 with bonus code 1025GAME. You can place one-game parlay bets on football, basketball, and more. Plus, you'll earn M-Life rewards, and you can redeem for room nights and dining at any MGM resort nationwide. Try one-game parlay today. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years of age or older to wager. Tennessee only. New customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire 7 days from issuance. For problem gambling support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789.
Get some relief from the wintry mix outside with the hottest deals at Electronic Express. Deals are heating up on all 4K TVs, computers and gaming, smart home, housewares, and more. Avoid the roads with in-stock and ready-to-deliver appliances. Up to 40% off brands like LG, Whirlpool, GE, Samsung, and more. Plus, get up to 36 months free financing. The prices are falling faster than the snow at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Parman Tractor and Equipment is your one-stop tractor and equipment solution and Middle Tennessee's Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer. Rent or purchase a track loader, mini excavator, large excavators for your job site, or something in between. Parman is now hiring and seeking qualified candidates for construction equipment truck drivers, service technicians, and more. Apply at parmantractor.com or call 615-865-7800. Come be an employee owner with the Parman team, your Middle Tennessee Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer.
Hey everybody, Robbie Stanley here to tell you about my friends at Jasper's as the neighborhood bar and restaurant to catch the next Preds game. Jasper's is located on West End Avenue and offers a fun atmosphere with a game room, TVs, and a large bar and lounge area. Plus they offer free parking. That's right, free parking on West End, and offer specials for every Preds game day, including $10 smash burgers and $3 bottle domestics. So come on down to Jasper's next game day for happy hour every weekday from 4 to 6 p.m. and 2-for-1 beers all day on Sundays. Just tell them that Robbie Stanley sent you.
Tonight, down to Pippen left baseline, got around his man, slides to the hole, and lays it in. The Commodores try to get back in the win column as they take on Kentucky at Memorial Gym. Coverage begins at 5:30 on 93.3 Classic Hits and the Classic Hits app.
Hey, this is Pekka Rinne. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
College football is over for 2021. The Georgia Bulldogs, who were the best team in college football for most of the year, end up victorious in the national championship game. And I have been honest with the audience today that I have a hard time with it. And I'm not exactly sure why I have such a hard time with it. I don't know if it was because of the injury early in the game. The Alabama wide receiver tears the knee up right there on that Indianapolis turf. Felt like it would have been a different outcome. Injuries happen. It's a part of the game. The Georgia team, I just struggle with it. Trevor Maddich joins us, ESPN college football analyst presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters. So, Trevor, here's my theory on last night's game. When Clemson smoked Alabama, I could tip my cap off to him and say, hey, that Clemson team is great. When LSU and Joe Burrow smoked everybody and won the title, I could tip my hat off to him and say, congratulations, LSU, they're great. Alabama last year, hat off, they're great. I am struggling doing the same with Georgia even after they won the championship game last night. Am I crazy for feeling that way?
George, you're crazy, but not for that. Not for that, just for totally different reasons. I think you've got a reasonable perspective on that, because the weakness of Georgia's defense was the secondary, was their pass coverage. The strength of Alabama's offense was the passing game with a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback in Bryce Young and a receiver that nobody could cover in Jamison Williams, averaging 20 yards per catch coming into this game. And he didn't even have the most catches of any of the receivers. The other receiver, John Mechie, had 96 catches on the year when he got hurt in the SEC championship game. So when Williams went out in the first half, like you mentioned, that means their top two receivers were out. The only two receivers that defenses had anything to fear from were out. And so Alabama was no longer able to attack Georgia's weakest link.
Trevor, I felt like Stetson Bennett winning the championship and the offensive MVP award was hard for me to swallow. And it's not like I have any personal problem with Stetson Bennett. I've never met the kid. He seems like a good kid. There's nothing personal there. It's just I don't think he's very good. And I didn't even think last night, I didn't think he was very good. Now, Saban in the SEC championship game dared Stetson Bennett to throw the ball down the field, and he wouldn't do it or couldn't do it. Last night, he hit some shots, most notably the one to Pickens early in the game, and he was throwing the ball effectively a little bit in the second half, and yet I felt like Georgia won in spite of Bennett, not because of Bennett, and I think that obviously contrasts with Mac Jones and Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence and Tua and Deshaun Watson and the guys we're used to winning the national championship. What did you think of Stetson Bennett?
You know, I thought Stetson Bennett all year long kind of got a raw deal. I thought he was playing a lot better for the most part than people gave him credit for. I mean, he finished the season in the top 4 in the nation in passer rating, in total quarterback rating, in yards per pass attempt. He finished ahead of Bryce Young in all of those categories.
Yeah, but he's not better than Bryce Young.
No, he's not. But you can make the case that Bryce Young had less of a running attack to help him, and that Bryce Young faced better defenses. So you can make that case, right? I'm not saying he's better than Bryce Young. What I am saying is that in order to be that consistent across that many statistical categories and be listed at the very top with Young and Stroud and the best quarterbacks in the country, he had to be doing something. And he was. He was completing passes down the field. It wasn't just a game manager that didn't make plays. He was breaking out of the pocket and making not just, 6, 7, 8 yards. He's fast. And he would get 6, 7, 8 yards, and then defenders would miss him from behind on a bad angle because they misjudged his speed. He'd go off for another 10 yards. And so I think that obviously he's not the best quarterback in that game, but I think he played a lot better than people give him credit for. And I think this whole season was a whole lot better from Stetson Bennett than Bennett gets credit for. And I think that's one of the reasons that they never did sit him down in favor of JT Daniels, who was supposed to be the starter coming in last year. He kept on getting injured. And then all of a sudden Bennett starts playing great, and he got Wally picked, JT Daniels. And I think that Bennett deserves a lot of credit for this win. Now, he also made some mistakes. In the SEC championship game, he made mistakes that really hurt them. In this game, he made some mistakes that could have cost them the game. But then he came right back, he didn't wilt, and he made the plays to help them win.
Trev, one thing I thought about last night's game was, and we could talk about the Jamison Williams injury and John Mechie, but Alabama did 2 freshman corners last night in Kool-Aid McKinstry, and I can't remember the other kid's name, but he got burned for the touchdown. And I felt like that may have been the difference. I think those players, they both look like they're going to be good corners at Alabama, but more so than the freshman wide receivers, I thought it was the inexperience Alabama had at corner that really hurt them in yesterday's game, and I think probably maybe took away from how dominant Will Anderson was.
Bama had a list of injuries on both sides of the ball that really affected them in this game. And so they had the best head coach and the best quarterback, but they couldn't overcome the injuries. And you're right about corner. I mean, their 2 starting corners were out. And so you got 2 young guys that had been playing pretty well in their place, but you lose depth. And you also lose the experience that the starters had. And so you're talking about Jackson, right? He's the one that gave up that touchdown to A.D. Mitchell in the second half that kind of was a huge moment. It was a 40-yard touchdown pass from Bennett to Mitchell in the right seam. It was just a vertical route. And Jackson, the young corner, was right there. He just didn't know where the ball was. He never looked back to see the ball. And the ball was actually kind of poorly thrown. The defender was on the inside. The receiver was on the outside. The ball needed to go on the outside where the receiver was. Instead, it came onto the inside. And had the defender turned around, Jackson, and looked up, he could have knocked it away or intercepted it. Instead, the ball came right down, literally an inch past his head. And Mitchell grabbed it for the touchdown, and that was a very big deal. McKinstry's going to have a great future, but he missed some key tackles that allowed ball carriers of Georgia to get out and get some extra yardage. So that was a part of the big deal. Also, it hurt their depth because those 2 guys were supposed to be the backups to add great depth to the starters in terms of coverage guys. When they had to become the starters, who's behind them? And now Georgia could do things with their receivers and their empty backfields in their spread formations that Alabama struggled to cover. So the injuries to the corners made a huge domino effect on what Georgia was able to do.
Trev, I wonder this question too. If Jamison Williams doesn't get hurt, and I understand injuries are part of the game, and I don't want to be somebody, and we were talking about this earlier today, that if the Titans end up in the Super Bowl and Aaron Rodgers breaks his wrist on the first series of the game and the Titans beat Jordan Love, we're not going to not celebrate the Titans winning the Super Bowl. But if Jamison Williams stays healthy, I think those field goals early on are touchdowns. And if some of those field goals are touchdowns, now I think Georgia is in real trouble. And I think the score probably is reversed and Alabama wins the championship. Do you think Alabama wins if Jamison Williams stays healthy?
I don't know that they win, but I know it's a completely different ball game. because without Mechie, the Georgia defense was focused on Williams. But Bill O'Brien, the Bama offensive coordinator, with his NFL background, understands the concepts of how to get matchups. In the NFL, all the pre-snap motions and shifts and formations are all about getting this guy on that defender. And so while Georgia would want to double-team Williams, O'Brien would have moved him all over the place. He would have put him in bunch formations. He would have done things to make it difficult to zero in on him. And he would have, I think, had a real material impact. Now, you talk about the field goals. Alabama scored 1 touchdown, kicked 4 field goals, and then a 5th field goal was blocked, which was a pivotal moment in the second half when, after that, the wheels kind of came off for Bama. But part of the reason they kicked so many field goals was because they couldn't run the ball. I didn't expect that they would be able to. Neither team really ran the ball very well. But remember the 2018 season, the national championship game between Clemson and Alabama. Clemson smoked them. I think it was 44 to 16.
Oh, just kidding.
Part of the problem was Alabama couldn't run the ball. They threw the ball pretty well. They got into the red zone, but then that Clemson defense shut down the run in the red zone. Bama couldn't turn yardage into touchdowns, and they did it again. Bama actually had more yards than Georgia in this game. They had more first downs, a higher first down percentage, but they couldn't finish drives. And that was a real problem for them. Part of the reason is that Williams wasn't there to compensate for the lack of a running game down in the red zone.
Trevor Matich is with us. Did you think Bill O'Brien called a good game last night?
I thought that Bill O'Brien did everything he could do. And, you know, the players kind of let him down. You talk about the loss now of Mechie and Williams, and especially in that second half. Bryce Young still did really well in that game. His receivers, once Williams went out, let him down dramatically. Now, they came into the game thinking they were going to throw the ball more to tight end Jaleel Billingsley. And Billingsley was, coming into this season, expected to be a real receiving threat at tight end, just kept on dropping passes. Well, early in the game, he fell down on one play that should have been a first down down near the goal line. Instead, it was one of those field goals. The first interception for Bryce Young, he was throwing to Billingsley on the right sideline, and Billingsley was going up the field, and he couldn't fight his way past the defender, and so he couldn't get to where he was supposed to be, and the ball came down to a deeper defender instead of Billingsley, who should have fought his way over there to be where Love expected, or not Young expected him to be. And so Billingsley kind of let him down. Then a couple of the freshman receivers let him down. When Williams went out in the second half, Alabama had a 17-yard drive, or play drive, a 17-play drive. That drive stalled when on second down, Young threw under pressure. He was hit in the head by 2 guys, and yet still threw a perfect strike to freshman receiver Ja'Cory Brooks down the right sideline, hit Brooks in the hands. Brooks dropped it. Then the next play on third down, he was hit again as he threw a perfect strike to freshman receiver Ajay Hall, who was running a deep out. And then Hall was down near about the 10-yard line. I mean, it would have put him in good position. Hit Hall in the hands, throwing under pressure. Hall dropped it. Now it's fourth down. Bama attempts a field goal. They get the field goal block. The next play, Georgia rips off a 67-yard run, and they score on that drive. And that's when the wheels came off for Bama. You can point to receivers, young receivers that weren't ready for the moment, and then a veteran tight end in Billingsley that should have been better ready for the moment. And Young wasn't able to finish what the plays that were well called by Bill O'Brien that were there to be successful if the receivers would have done their part. But without Williams and without Mechie, the receivers could not.
Georgia won their first title in 40 years. Plus, Bill O'Brien, we just mentioned him. He could go back to the NFL. Jim Harbaugh rumors in the NFL. We'll get Trevor's thoughts on that coming up next. Trevor Matich, as always, is presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters. Trev, we'll see you on the other side. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company live from Bridgestone Arena. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
Another mainly clear evening turning into a clear night as temperatures drop back to around the freezing mark. On our way to the mid-50s for Wednesday, we'll look for mainly sunny skies. For Fox 17, I'm Chief Meteorologist Katie Morgan.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today. Need more hires in the new year? Check out Indeed with Instant Match. You'll receive a list of quality candidates when you sponsor a job. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Victory Award-winning New Amsterdam Vodka knows all about it. But in life, it's not always so clear. So New Amsterdam Vodka believes that in life, you've got to find your own wins. You've got to overcome your fears, go all in, even when you've got nothing at all. Find your wins. And when you do, raise that glass of New Amsterdam Vodka in victory. You've earned it. New Amsterdam Spirits Company, Modesto, California.
Attorney Joe Cordell. New school, new job, new home. Change is hard and can leave you feeling isolated. And divorce delivers one of life's hardest blows. The relationships you counted on are suddenly gone. But you don't have to walk through this alone. For more than 30 years, Cordell & Cordell has guided men through the challenges of divorce. You're not alone. Call Cordell & Cordell. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Nashville area attorneys. 810 Crescent Center Drive, Suite 160, Franklin, Tennessee, 37067.
Happy New Year and Happy New You from Houston Clinic Orthopedics, conveniently located where you live and work, with various locations in and around the Nashville area. Houston's physicians specialize in spine, joint replacement, knee, hip, upper extremity, and many other orthopedic conditions. At Houston Clinic Orthopedics, they strictly adhere to all CDC guidelines for the patient's and staff safety. To experience world-class orthopedic care and see a list of all Houston physicians and specialties, visit their website at tn.houston.com and book your appointment online today.
Hey everybody, Robbie Stanley here to tell you about my friends at Jasper's. Jasper's is a casual restaurant and bar located on West End Avenue, equipped with TVs, a game room available for private events, a grab-and-go market, and free parking. Yes, free parking. This neighborhood spot is Nashville's new go-to restaurant and bar. You can try their selection of elevated bar food ranging from appetizers to chicken sandwiches to flatbread pizzas and the famous smash burger, as well as any of their delicious cocktails. So visit my friends at Jasper's, located at 1918 West End Avenue, and tell them that Robbie sent you.
Hey, Darren McFarland here, and I want to talk to you about my friends at Creation CBD. You're hearing me talk about them every single day because they present Darren, Donick, and Chase, and we are proud to be associated with them and happy about it. And if you have aches and pains, on your body, whether it's from working out, being active, getting older, and you're looking for a solution, well, I've got it. Creation CBD. Creation means healing, and that says a lot. Creation is locally and organically sourced CBD products right here in Middle Tennessee. From seed to final sale, Creation is passionate about providing quality products for everyday use, including your pets. And you've heard me tell this story. Our female German Shepherd has had seizures for over 3 years, and lots of them. No matter how many pills a day she was on, the vet visits, nothing changed. But since putting her on the pet tincture, everything has changed. The seizures have stopped, she's lost weight, and she's a dog again. Right now, Creation CBD has got a special offer for DDC listeners. Go to CreationCompany.com, get 25% off your order by using the code DDC25 at checkout. DDC25 at checkout for 25% off your Creation CBD products. It's Creation CBD, curated for life.
Robbie Stanley.
Maybe it doesn't hurt their bottom line this year. I don't know what's going to happen on that front.
Joe Rexrode.
5 guys who are on the roster are not going to be on the roster.
Get your morning started with Robbie and Rexrode every weekday from 6 to 10. Presented by Volunteer State Bank on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving.
Breaking news, the New York Giants have fired head coach Joe Judge. It felt like, honestly, they wanted to bring Judge back, but the last month of the year, he just kept giving them excuses over and over again to fire him. So they have officially fired Joe Judge. So make the Giants, add them to the list, the Dolphins, the Bears, perhaps the Raiders. There's a bunch, Jacksonville, bunch of openings out there. Trevor Maddich is our guest, presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters. Trevor is Jim Harbaugh at Michigan. We hear the rumors, the Raiders, the Bears. Is Jim Harbaugh going to leave Michigan to go back to the NFL? What do you think?
Jared, it does seem like this would be the time to go, right? Because he solved the problems at Michigan. He solved the problem of Ohio State. He finally beat the Buckeyes. He won the Big Ten championship. He made the playoff. And really, he gave us one of the greatest moments of this college football season, where when they beat Ohio State at home, 110,000 people tried to file out of the stands onto the field and rush the field. Now, I've seen a whole lot of field rushings, right? But I haven't seen one like that where there was no more room for people to come down out of the stands because the field was so packed. Michigan players were still on the field, drinking it in. They didn't want it to end. They didn't want to leave the field. And that moment of sheer emotion and relief was one of my favorite moments of this entire season. And I think that moment really exemplifies what Jim Harbaugh accomplished at Michigan this year. If he leaves now, he can say that he left the team that beat Ohio State, that won the Big Ten championship. He left his alma mater in a good place. And so if he's going to leave, right now all he could really do is get worse at Michigan in the short term, certainly, or at least tie. But I don't know that he's going to make much noise in the playoff for the foreseeable future there. And I think if he's going to leave, this is the time to walk away.
Do you think that he's going to leave? The one reason I kind of question it is because it feels to me like Harbaugh this year, people wanted to fire him at Michigan after last year, and obviously getting them to the playoff and beating Ohio State. I feel like Harbaugh could probably be there for the next 10 years. And we know that life in the NFL is hard. We know Harbaugh's had success in the NFL. But I just struggle, Trevor, with the idea of taking the known at what you've built at Michigan and going to the NFL where, it may just be that your roster's not going to be good enough. Your quarterback, if you go to the Chicago Bears, Justin Fields may not be good enough, and it may get you fired. And I struggle with that right now as far as Harbaugh's concerned.
Well, you're right about that. I mean, he has taken a long time to build Michigan up, but it was no joke that Michigan beat Ohio State and won the Big Ten championship. I mean, on both sides of the ball, he had built up the best offensive line in all of college football. He built up an outstanding defensive line that featured the best pair of edge rushers in all of college football, and a safety that might be drafted in the first round, some good corners, a respectable quarterback situation. And without their best receiver, Ronnie Bell, they were able to do a lot of great things there. And so a really good stable of running backs. I mean, the recruiting there has been good, and they have had new life breathed into them this year by the hiring of fresh, young coaching prospects, including fresh, young coordinators. The Michigan players had all the physicality and discipline that they had under Harbaugh in the past, but with the young coordinators, they seem to be playing a lot more loosely. They had more fun. I think that's one of the reasons the team elevated their play on the field. They weren't uptight like they can be with Harbaugh if there are other coaches there to offset that side of Harbaugh's coaching personality. So, he could stay there and beat Ohio State once in a while and make a run for Big Ten championships. But I really think my gut is that he wants to get back to the NFL. He's tasted the Super Bowl, but he didn't win it. His brother John with the Baltimore Ravens has a Super Bowl ring, and I think Jim Harbaugh might want to get back to the NFL to have a chance to do that himself. And the thing is, I think there's one particular option that gives him the best chance to do it, and it's not the Bears.
Who is it?
Denver. Denver, with their defense, a lot of people thought it would fall off the map when they let Von Miller go and some other stars on defense, but they actually turned in a very good defensive year this year. Offensively, and they'll only get better. Offensively, they have a good offensive line, some outstanding skill players. I mean, Jerry Jeudy, formerly from Alabama, receiver is there. Noah Fant, one of the best tight ends in the NFL, is there. Javonte Williams is there. There are some really good skill people.
They feel like they're a quarterback away.
Exactly. And so I don't see the Bears as being, a quarterback away, even though they think they have a quarterback. But, he'll take a long time to develop if he develops Justin Fields with the Bears. Are the Dolphins ready for that kind of a thing? Probably closer than the Bears. The Raiders are a long ways off. Those are all big rebuilding projects. But Miami, the owner, Stephen Ross, is a Michigan guy. And so there might be a synergy there with Harbaugh to go to South Florida. And Miami is actually on the way up where the defense is kind of exciting. And Tua seems to have turned the corner this season. We'll see at quarterback. But I think Denver, if Harbaugh wants to go to a place that's ready for his presence and one or two components to make Super Bowl runs, Denver is that place. The question is, where do they find that quarterback? But that is a lot closer than everybody else that he could go to, with the possible exception of Miami. He doesn't want to go to a bad team, rebuild it for 4 or 5 years, and then see what might happen. That would not satisfy him at all.
Trevor Matich is our guest. Last one for you, Trevor. I feel like when Alabama wins a championship, it's like Alabama wins again. When Clemson won the title, it was like, finally they accomplished it, but you knew they were there to stay. When LSU won the championship in 2019, it was like, that is an all-time great team. With Georgia, I feel like there was kind of a narrative pushed last night, like Kirby's arrived, Georgia has arrived, they are here to stay, I don't feel that. Do you feel like Georgia's success will transcend beyond last night?
For it to happen, they've got to do what Nick Saban in Alabama has done so successfully over the last, 10 years, and that is turn outstanding recruiting classes into outstanding football teams. Nick Saban has been able to reload not just with talent, but with chemistry and cohesion. And Georgia will need to do that because they're going to lose a ton of guys, especially off of that defense. And they'll have to replace it with talented guys, 4- and 5-star guys, great recruiting classes, back to back to back to back. But they've got to prove that they can turn those classes into football teams the way that Nick Saban does. And so can they do that? Yeah, I think Kirby probably can do it. Kirby Smart, the Georgia head coach. But we need to actually see it done at the highest level before we can actually count on it, right? And they've been so close. I mean, it's well documented that in the national championship game from the 2017 season, it was a miracle low percentage play, Tua throwing to Devontae Smith, true freshman to true freshman, to win the game in overtime. Georgia almost had it, but they didn't, did they? Then the next year, they almost had him leading in the fourth quarter in the SEC championship game. When Tua gets hurt, Jalen Hurts comes off the bench and leads the rest of a 21-play drive, I think it was, to score the game-winning touchdown, right? They almost had him, and they didn't get there. And so until you get there, you're not there. So now they've got over that hump, and they've beaten Darth Vader. They've expunged the evil empire for a season. But now Georgia has to reload like the evil empire has proved that they can do year after year. And if they prove they can do that at the highest level and win it again, or at least compete for it again, then you can make the case that, yeah, Georgia is here to stay. But we've got to see that before we just assume it.
Trevor Matich, as always, presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters. Great college football season, Trevor. Always good to talk to you. We will be talking next week, as we always do throughout the year. Appreciate you, Trev.
Thanks, Jared.
Yep, Trevor Matich joining us on the program. Speaking of that Georgia performance and Stetson Bennett and everything else last night, and whether or not Georgia's going to stay around or what they're going to be or what they're going to do or whatever it may be, I have a Titans thought after last night's game. I have a Titans thought I want to get to. So we'll do that next. Hey, FanDuel Sportsbook is my official sportsbook app. Wild Card Weekend just got wilder, and FanDuel Sportsbook is hooking new customers up with 30-to-1 enhanced odds. This means you can bet $5 to win $150 on any team in any wild card game. I heard Robbie today talk about Tom Brady and how he's going to pick Tampa Bay over the Chiefs. I mean, come on, the Chiefs. This is like Chiefs against the Steelers. Seriously, $5, $150, Chiefs. There's no better place to bet the NFL playoffs on America's #1 sportsbook app and my official sportsbook app. And when you win, and if you bet the Chiefs, you probably will, FanDuel will pay you your winnings in as little as 2 hours. Already have FanDuel Sportsbook? Well, they're hooking up all customers with $50 when you refer a friend, plus your friend will get $50 too. Don't miss your chance to win $150 in a $5 bet. The promo code, JGM. Again, that's promo code JGM to pick your wild card team before kickoff. 21 and older and present Tennessee. New users only, $10 first deposit required. Must wager in a designated offer market. Max bonus $150. Bonus for Tennessee users fulfilled in site credit within 72 hours. Tennessee site credit expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Weekday mornings from 5 to 9.
Did you see the Tennessee Titans? He has all the weapons to make it happen.
There's so much to pay attention to. Greeny from 9 to 11.
Ryan Tannehill is the most disrespected player.
Art and Han from 11 to 2.
You never stop punching. They've got to learn how to close the deal.
And the Paul Feinbaum Show afternoons from 2 to 6.
Are these legitimate contenders to the party?
Your exclusive home for ESPN Radio in the Music City.
ESPN
94.9 and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
One of the smartest things you can do for the new year is convert some of your home's equity into cash. You can do it right now with a zero-cost cash-out refi from Loan Pronto. Willie here. Call Loan Pronto now. They can fast-track your home refi and get you a check for 50, 60, 70 grand or more. And if you call now, Loan Pronto can even pay your closing costs. Listen, your home value is way up. Use it to your advantage. Get cash out now. Pay off those credit card debts. Consolidate other debts. Start that home improvement project and get your finances in great shape for 2022. Loan Pronto's refis usually close in just 2 weeks, and the process is easy. It's all digital. Call Loan Pronto now. Put that equity in your home to work towards financial freedom for the new year. Do it now, and you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. Not all loans apply.
Zines First is the official sign company for 1025 The Game. Go to sfnash.com.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Hillside Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of the pills? Well, we have a major medical breakthrough. The Wave technology at Hillside Medical Clinic was tested by Cambridge University and the Cleveland Clinic, and the results are in. It's proven to increase blood flow by repairing blood vessels. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED by treating the root cause, call us now. And not only will the assessment and blood flow ultrasound be free, we'll also include something unique that produces powerful results in the bedroom. I don't think I've ever seen it fail. This is a $600 value, free to those that call in the next 2 minutes. 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your love life back. Call Hillside Medical Clinic now to qualify. 615-576-5000.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. With Karen Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving. ESPN 1025 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and now Facebook Live, thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We are live today at Bridgestone Arena. Again, pregame in less than 1 hour for the Predators as they take on the Colorado Avalanche. Big game tonight, 7 o'clock. And again, our broadcast live from the Hillside Medical Game Studio at Bridgestone Arena, presented by Hermitage Design Center, the professional source for lighting, hardware, appliance, custom kitchens, and baths on the web at gohermitage.com. So last night, Georgia wins the national championship, and I'm struggling in my heart with accepting Georgia because it doesn't feel like they were Clemson when they smoked Alabama, or LSU and Joe Burrow, or all those great Alabama teams. And I just truly, and I know people don't want to hear this, but I struggle with it a little bit. It's like, man, we saw all these great, teams over the years, and this Georgia team had a quarterback, and I don't even think much of their quarterback. Great defense, solid coach. I wouldn't put him up there in the ring, I wouldn't put him up there with Saban. I don't think anybody is. But, I mean, goodness gracious, it's not like that LSU team that was just a generationally talented, awesome LSU team. Stetson Bennett last night, I thought he stunk the joint up. 17 of 26, 224, 2 touchdowns. That's not the same as Joe Burrow and what Joe Burrow was throwing for when he was playing quarterback in the national championship. Certainly not what we're used to from Deshaun Watson or Trevor Lawrence or Tua Tagovailoa or even Jalen Hurts. It's not what we're used to. And yet Georgia won the title. And I was thinking about Georgia's path to the championship. Because what have I always told you about the Super Bowl? And what have I always told you about one of the most important things in the playoffs? The road. The road. Not going on the road, but your road to the Super Bowl. 2 years ago, the Kansas City Chiefs, and again, deserving Super Bowl champion, Hall of Fame head coach, MVP quarterback, they're a great team. But what was their road in Kansas City? Their road, because of a Brian Flores win over Bill Belichick, was instead of hosting Derrick Henry and the Titans, going on the road to the Patriots, and then going on the road to the 14-2 Ravens with Lamar Jackson MVP at quarterback, it was Bill O'Brien and the Texans after a bye, and the Titans, who were worn down doing their dirty work, taking care of the Patriots and the Ravens. Nice little road. In fact, San Francisco that year made the Super Bowl too. What was their road? Great defensive line play, smoking Kirk Cousins in Minnesota at home in the first round of the divisional round of the playoffs, and having that great defense take care of Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay traveling out west, which they're never good at, and they're in the Super Bowl. Here are the Titans. I don't know who they're going to play next week. Neither do you, neither do they. And everybody could talk about Mahomes or Buffalo, but they wouldn't have to play them until you get to the AFC Championship game. So it's either Cincinnati and Joe Burrow with one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL, the upstart Raiders with an above-average quarterback, but not really a great team, the terrible Steelers, the coached over their class Patriots, and one of those teams is coming here. What was Georgia's road? Georgia played 3 big games, just like the Titans will have to play 3 big games. But remember, Georgia took care of their business during the year. And who was their best regular season win? Most people will tell you it was Kentucky. So Georgia smoked South Carolina. They smoked Vanderbilt. They smoked Tennessee. They smoked all these teams that really weren't that good. Auburn. Their best regular season win, again, you can only play who's on your schedule, was Kentucky. It's a lot like the Titans' schedule that probably got them the 1 seed. Kansas City has to play Justin Herbert, Derek Carr, and the Denver Broncos, and you get to play the Jags twice, both weeks at the end of Urban Meyer drama. Things fell right for the Titans. You got to play the Houston Texans twice this year. Davis Mills, we might have looked like Dan Marino on Sunday, but you got to play the Texans this year. You got to play Carson Wentz that 1 week that he couldn't even move. Things were good to you this year for the most part. Yeah, you dealt with your injuries, but you're the 1 seed just like Georgia was. Georgia got Alabama in the SEC championship game, and that could have been a bye because they didn't have to win it. Everybody else who would have approached that game, Michigan had to win their game. Alabama had to win their game. Cincinnati had to win every game. But the road was easier for Georgia because of what they did in the regular season. Georgia loses that game. They get 1 game against a good opponent in Michigan, and Michigan's not that great, and they blow them out. And if you get the Raiders in here, if you get the Steelers in here, or even if you get the Patriots in here, they're not that great. The Titans could blow out any of those teams. Then came the real test. The real test will be Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City or possibly Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. Number 1 defense in the NFL, number 2 offense in Buffalo. That would be an AFC Championship game. Or the real test, the big test, like playing Alabama, could be playing Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay in the Super Bowl. Green Bay's got to win 2 games to get to the Super Bowl too. And let me just ask you this question. Why did Georgia win yesterday? I feel, and I asked Trevor Maddich this question, and he wouldn't say yes, but he didn't say no, that the Jamison Williams and John Mechie injuries are why Alabama lost yesterday. I believe that in my heart. And I'm not making an excuse and saying, well, let's not count Georgia's championship win because Georgia got to hold the title. Green Bay's better than the Titans. A lot of people will tell you Tampa Bay is better than the Titans. A lot of people will tell you Kansas City is better than the Titans. A lot of people told you Michigan was better than Georgia. Georgia played okay yesterday. Their defense was great, which we've said the Titans' defense, led by their defensive line, but what was Stetson Bennett's stat line? Was it transcendent? Was it Trevor Lawrence? Was it Deshaun Watson? Was it Tua Tagovailoa? Was it Mac Jones? Was it 17 of 26 for 224 and 2 touchdowns? You know whose stat line that sounds a lot like in the NFL? Ryan Tannehill's. This is my point. Georgia played solid defense. They didn't coach themselves out of games. They built themselves a path because of what they did in the regular season, and the chips fell their way at the end of the day. The chips fell their way in the national title game. They blocked a kick. They made an impact play. I don't think the Titans are better than the Packers. But guess what? If they get in a Super Bowl and something happens to Devontae Adams and Alan Lazard, I feel a lot better about the Titans' chances. The playoffs are going to be hard. The number one reason why I said, hey, they have got to get the bye week is not just because you would play a team that might not be better than you and lose to them, which is certainly a possibility, and the seeding allows you to play at home, but more importantly, because we see injuries every week in the NFL. I don't know about you guys, but when I saw A.J. Brown in the tent on the CBS broadcast on Sunday, a part of me had to hold my breath. Guess what? Tyreek Hill got hurt last week for Kansas City, and he's got to play this week. There are going to be guys that get hurt. Like Darius Philon got hurt for the Raiders, their great defensive tackle, with a torn ACL on Sunday night. And you avoid that for a game. Georgia's path: win one game against a good Michigan team that they're clearly better than, and play solid football and let the other guys screw up and have bad things happen to them like Alabama did. That's the path. That's the path for the Titans. Let the regular season, and you have built-in advantages. Here was an advantage. The 17th game, the Titans got to play Trevor Siemian and the New Orleans Saints. The Indianapolis Colts got to play Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The 17th game was an advantage for you this year. Your weak division was an advantage for you this year. The fact that Derrick Henry got hurt right as you exited the tough part of your schedule and entered the easy part of your schedule was an advantage for you this year. Just like Georgia had a bunch of advantages in their schedule. Clemson wasn't as good as we all thought. The SEC East was not very competitive. They didn't draw Alabama or somebody better as their cross-division rival. And it all worked out. And that's the situation the Titans have set up for themselves so far. That's the path. And that's why I've told you all the road to the Super Bowl is always as important as who is the better team. Who's the better team between Alabama and Georgia? You put all of Alabama's players out there, I would take Alabama. But no, they lost John Mechie in the SEC championship game. They lost their corners. And that can happen to anybody the Titans play. Stetson Bennett didn't have to win the game for them, and he didn't yesterday. And neither will Ryan Tannehill maybe have to win the game for you. Jimmy Garoppolo was one throw away from being Super Bowl MVP. He didn't make it. Next year, Trey Lance will be the starting quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers. Here's the Titans' path. And just like with Georgia, there's no guarantee they'll be back here next year. And just like with Georgia, there's no guarantee that Alabama won't be charged and ready to play, or that Clemson won't be good again, or that Oklahoma, with their new coach, won't have a new identity. There's no guarantee next year for the Titans that Kansas City will struggle in the middle of the season like they did this year. There's no guarantee with any of this. This is their shot. And Georgia proved it last night. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. And again, we've always said this. Vanderbilt played an SEC championship game 10 years ago against Kentucky. And Kentucky had Anthony Davis and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, and they ended up winning the national championship. Vanderbilt beat them in the SEC title game. And Calipari said, we needed that. We needed that. That's what Cal said. They go into the tournament, they're unbeatable, they win the national championship. I wonder if Georgia needed a little bit of that too. I hope the Titans have gotten their humble pie out of the way and that they can look at this and say, okay, this is our path. 615-737-1025. We'll get your reaction on that. Plus, coming up next, Joe Judge out with the Giants. What do we make of that? But also, the reality of the AFC playoffs. I understand it. I don't know if you understand it, and I don't know if they understand it. We'll get to that coming up next as we are live here out at Bridgestone Arena. The Predators getting set to take on the Avalanche tonight. Pregame in less than an hour. Puck drop in less than 2. Stillman and Company. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
It's game day in Smashville. Brought to you by Hermitage Design Center.
With a slot and a backhand shot, miraculously stopped by UC Saros.
The Predators are back home at Bridgestone Arena and look to continue their winning ways against the vaunted Colorado Avalanche.
I think the players have done a really good job, and they're getting rewarded for doing things the right way.
Coverage begins at 6 on Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Check out the January clearance sale going on now at Social Furniture. You can save up to 70% off Ashley Furniture. Come first for the best selection of furniture before it's gone, and you don't want to miss out. Social Furniture has truckloads of the best selection of furniture. Get your nightstands, mattresses, bar stools, sofas, and recliners all on sale now with no waiting. You can take home your new furniture today. Visit Social Furniture on the west side at 5412 Charlotte Avenue or on the web at mysocialfurniture.com.
The Metal Tour of the Year. Megadeth, Lamb of God, with special guests, Trivium and In Flames. Friday, May 6th, Bridgestone Arena. 4 of metal's biggest artists share the stage for one epic night. This is a buck-up. On sale this Friday, 10 a.m. Buy tickets at livenation.com. Megadeth, Lamb of God, with special guests, Trivium and In Flames.
If you snore, it may be a sign of a more serious, possibly life-threatening condition. Most people think of snoring as a nuisance, but it's a much more serious medical condition than you think. Snoring has been associated with chest pain, sleep apnea, high blood pressure, chronic pain, obesity, headaches, and sore throat. Take a listen to what some of our patients are saying about the revolutionary Vivo system.
Right after I started using it, I noticed the results really, especially with the snoring. My sleep apnea episodes are a fraction of what they were before. This product's phenomenal. It changed my life.
I am 100% happy that I did this, and I'm thankful every day that I have it.
If you're curious about our sleep devices, call now for a sleep consultation. Don't let your spouse have to sleep in the guest room, and don't risk the severe health complications of snoring and sleep apnea.
Dr. Kelly Rice is certified to provide the Vivo system to open the airway for a better night's sleep. Call 615-373-4488 or go to BrentwoodSleepApnea.com now to see which therapy can work best for you.
Individual results may vary. Always seek the advice of your health provider with any questions regarding a medical condition.
Hey, it's Jared. Your body needs water. That doesn't mean it has to be boring. And I'm here to tell you to give Focus a try. Focus is a sparkling water with a spark. It's infused with a boost of natural tea caffeine, so you get clean energy without sugar, calories, or crash. Go to drinkfocus.com to find the full lineup of flavors and get them delivered right to your door. Enter promo code GAME at checkout for 15% off your first order. Focus is also available at your local Publix. That's Focus, P-H-O-C-U-S, on the web at drinkfocus.com.
Since their doors opened in 1898 in England, Arkansas, Bank of England Mortgage has been providing down-home exceptional service. Bank of England's success is due to the talent of their loan officers and their access to hundreds of mortgage products at the industry's best pricing. Bank of England Mortgage has 3 Middle Tennessee locations ready to serve you. Go to BOE1214.com or call 615-823-1215. Bank of England Mortgage is a division of Bank of England Mortgage. Equal housing lender, member FDIC, NMLS 418-481.
Hey everybody, Robbie Stanley here to tell you about my friends at Jasper's as the neighborhood bar and restaurant to catch the next Preds game. Jasper's is located on West End Avenue and offers a fun atmosphere with a game room, TVs, and a large bar and lounge area. Plus they offer free parking. That's right, free parking on West End, and offer specials for every Preds game day, including $10 smash burgers and $3 bottled domestics. So come on down to Jasper's next game day for happy hour every weekday from 4 to 6 p.m. and 2-for-1 beers all day on Sundays. Just tell them that Robbie Stanley sent you.
Interact with Stillman and Company. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Mike, how much value do you think there is in playoff experience, particularly shared experience like a bunch of your roster has had now from the last couple of years?
I think playing well is really important. I think making great decisions, taking care of the football, trying to play complementary. I think all those things are important. Experience is great. It's just, it comes down to execution.
There you go. That was Vrabel, and I actually laughed because they were talking about, what do you make of all this, Mike, and playoff? I'm like, he's not going to say, we got tons of it over the last 2 years, and I feel like we're ready to rock and roll in the playoff. But this is my thought when it comes to playoff experience. I think it's fun to talk about on television. Like, you can get on ESPN and you can look into the camera and be like, I trust the playoff experience of the Green Bay Packers. Titans, when Floyd was a general manager, when they became Titans, 4 playoff appearances in 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
The first year they went to the Super Bowl. Second year they lost in the division round. The third playoff experience, AFC title game, 4th division round. So did all that non-playoff experience help Steve McNair and Eddie George get to the Super Bowl the first time? It didn't help them the second time? So I don't think it really matters. But here's the one thing I wonder about the Titans. Just like how I was talking about how Alabama kind of humbled Georgia by smoking them in the SEC championship game, and Georgia knew they were going to be in for a fight last night. And I think they knew after what they saw Michigan do to Ohio State that they were going to be in a fight there. Do the Titans, I know this, Vrabel knows this, but do they know this? I think the Titans can beat any team in the AFC field. I would favor them at home against everybody, including the Chiefs. The team that I would worry about the most might be the Bills. Vegas will not. Vegas, I think, will favor the Bills, the Chiefs, the Patriots, and probably the Bengals over the Titans at Nissan Stadium. But I ask you this question. Do you think they know? They know that they can beat anybody, and they know that they can lose to anybody. And Jimmy Johnson was on Fox, and he was talking about this, saying, look, this year being the favorite just isn't that big of a deal.
I don't know how many teams in this league have been consistent throughout the year. And we talk about it on Fox NFL Sunday. I said, who do you trust? As soon as you start trusting the team, they lay an egg. It's really been a tough year. It's been a crazy year. There hasn't been 2 or 3 dominant teams that have just gone through the schedule. You look at the number 1 seeds right now with Tennessee. Here they lose Derrick Henry, and yet, they're going to have a bye the first week. Green Bay, they laid a couple of eggs. So it's going to be a fun playoff time to watch all these teams play.
I mean, he's telling you, like, you can ask me who I like, but I'm telling you, I don't know. And that is the reality of the AFC playoffs. It feels stronger like Green Bay has more of an advantage in the NFC, but you heard what Jimmy said about, hey, they've dropped a couple of games. I believe that if the Titans approach the playoffs the way that Georgia did after Alabama smoked them, which was, hey, we better bring it every night or else we're going home. And they approached it when they prepared for Michigan, and they clearly approached it for when they played Alabama, and things broke their way against Alabama. Just like things might have to break your way if you play the Chiefs or break your way if you play the Packers. That's the only chance. If the Titans walk into one of these games and they feel good about themselves, the way that they felt good about themselves at times this season, the way they felt good about themselves at halftime the other day, they're going home. And I don't care if it's the Raiders, I don't care if it's the Steelers, I don't care who it is. And I think the Steelers suck. But it does not matter who it is. If they walk into Nissan Stadium for the divisional round with their chests out, see ya. Go ahead, go to Cancun, Cabo, the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, get the flights ready because they're going. if they do not mentally focus on their opponent for the divisional round.
A couple thoughts on that. First and foremost, you said that the Packers feel like the clear front runner in the NFC, and in the AFC, it doesn't necessarily feel like that. It feels like it could be a toss-up between 3, 4, or 5 teams.
I think it'd be a toss-up between 6. Everybody except the Steelers.
Even the Raiders?
Even the Raiders. Boy, hey, there's something about the Raiders now.
But to that point, do you think everyone outside of Nashville feels how we feel about the Packers in the NFC about the Chiefs in the AFC?
I probably would assume that. I just don't think that matters. Like, I think everybody is naturally overrating the Chiefs. Like, I think
probably so.
Going back to that buzzword of like the experience. You know, like last week, Marcus Spears was asked who he trusts, and he talked about the experience of Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. Well, Derrick Henry's been to the playoffs as many times as Patrick Mahomes. So that I understand. He won one more game, you know, got to the Super Bowl, and Derrick's never done that. But that doesn't really matter. People are going with the Chiefs because they feel comfortable about the Chiefs. It's crazy that nobody talks about the fact that Buffalo's got the number 1 defense in the NFL.
Well, also, to be fair, you were willing to count out the Bills about a month ago.
Buffalo's got the number 1 defense in the NFL. They've got the number 2 offense in the NFL. And nobody talks about that. And I'm not saying Buffalo's my pick. I'm just saying, can we acknowledge the fact that Buffalo has when you factor this in? I heard the Midday Show talking about this a couple days ago when it snowed. And Darren was reading off the ESPN FPI and how the Packers are the favorites to go to the Super Bowl and Buffalo's second. And Willie and Chase were just flummoxed. They couldn't believe it. And I texted Chase. I said, Chase, the reason that Buffalo is number 2 is because those, ratings factor in your total offense, total defense. And, I think the betting market's involved in it a little bit or something. Buffalo's got a legitimate franchise quarterback. And they've got, by the standards of the numbers, an elite defense and an elite offense. Titans don't have that. Titans have an average offense and a good defense. They don't have an elite anything. And they certainly don't have
an elite running back.
But that talking about like the
groups.
Like they do not have anything comparable to Buffalo. They don't have a franchise quarterback. They got a game manager. And nobody talks about it. So the fact that everybody talks about the Chiefs, that doesn't matter. Like that does that. And I think that's kind of Jimmy's point is like you want to feel good about a team, but some teams, as soon as you start to feel good about them, they go out and lose. And I think that's the thing with Kansas City is you feel good about Kansas City. Everybody told me all week last week Kansas City's going to represent the AFC. They lost to Cincinnati in their last game, and they were not impressive against Denver. And it wasn't like the Titans game where the Titans played great for a half and then stuck their fingers up their butts and just kind of watched TV and didn't pay attention to went out for a smoke break. I mean, you're talking about Kansas City was in a dogfight for 59 minutes with the Broncos. So I'm not sold on them. And again, I think the Titans can beat all these teams. I think they can lose to all of them too. And if they approach it this way, if they approach it the way Georgia approached the Michigan game, the way Georgia approached Alabama, they could win the Super Bowl. Let's go to your phones. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Adam has been waiting patiently. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, Adam.
Well, Jared, if I'm going to rip on you on days when I think you're doing terrible, I'm going to brag on you. I think you're killing it today. My buddy called me today, and he's like, hey, man, can you help me with this parlay? I'm like, not if it's the AFC. I don't have a clue who's going to win these games. I wouldn't want you putting $5 down on my name with the AFC. No, Pittsburgh's not going to beat Kansas City, but then Pittsburgh will beat Kansas City. Who knows, man? I can't pick it this year at all.
I think my thing about the AFC, thank you for your call, Adam. I think that, the NFL's wanted this for years, where they've wanted, pure parity in the game. We've talked about the fact that the NFL literally, the competitive fairness is at the top of the list for the NFL. Now, they can't control that one division has Kyler Murray, Matthew Stafford, Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco, and Russell Wilson, and another one has, 2 rookie quarterbacks and Carson Wentz. The best quarterback in the AFC South is Tannehill, and he might be the 3rd best quarterback in the NFC West. They can't control that. They can't do, but for the most part, everything is designed for it to be fair. Everything is designed for it to be even. That's the way the NFL works. And for years, it didn't feel like that was the case with the NFL. The NFL felt like the SEC, especially in the AFC, because it was always either Manning, Brady, or Ben that were in the Super Bowl. Manning's retired, Brady's gone, and Ben is old. And so now it's like you just want to assume, okay, well, now it will be Josh Allen, Lamar, and Mahomes. And maybe it is that way. Maybe Mahomes goes this year again. But I think now you're seeing more parity. The NFC has been like this for a while. When you get a Rex Grossman in the Super Bowl, you get a Nick Foles in the Super Bowl, you get a Jared Goff in the Super Bowl, you get a Colin Kaepernick in the Super Bowl. They've had a lot of different guys. Eli Manning, a lot of different guys throughout the years that have gotten to the Super Bowl. Russell's gone a couple times, Aaron's gone a couple times, but it's not like an every year thing. And that's what the AFC, I think, is becoming with Manning and Brady gone. The other part of it, too, is as I talk about your road to get there, Foxborough's a hard place to play. Nobody has to go to Foxborough anymore because Brady's not racking up 13 wins. Nobody goes to Indianapolis and plays in a dome with Peyton Manning because Peyton's not racking up 13 wins against the Titans, Texans, and Jags. So I think that's also another element of this that is kind of even the playing field that makes the AFC incredibly hard. I just talked about Buffalo, about, elite offense, elite defense, franchise quarterback. Patriots could beat them. Patriots already have beat them in Buffalo, beat them there earlier this year. And you would say, well, Jared, there was a massive windstorm. And so with that massive windstorm, what are they supposed to do? There could be a massive windstorm on Saturday. I don't think there's going to be one.
But there could be one.
But there could be.
I mean, we're talking about Buffalo and New England.
I mean, we didn't think that Jamison Williams would be carted off the field or have to, limp off the field 5 minutes into the game last night. And that's what happens. The AFC is wide open this year. And the Titans are part of the wide open. So there's the good element of, hey, you can beat all these teams. And there's the bad element of, be a little careful about that. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Starting to see the action pick up here inside the Patron Platinum Club at Bridgestone Arena, where we are today, as the Predators get set to take on the Colorado Avalanche. Stillman and Company, it's ESPN 1025, the game.
Tonight. Roman Josi and the Predators return home to Smashville to take on Nathan McKinnon and the Colorado Avalanche. Pre-game at 6, face-off at 7 on Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Are you a father that is passionate about your fundamental constitutional right to parent your own child or children? Has your parenting time or your income been affected by COVID? This is Amanda J. Gentry, and I am a fierce defender of your constitutional rights. The courts in Tennessee are under an obligation to maximize equal parenting time. We do not live in an every other weekend world anymore. At the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry, fathers are extremely important, much like my own father was. Go to AmandaJGentry.com or call or text 615-604-6263. That's AmandaJGentry.com.
My crusade for the perfect pizza crust has led me here, pining over a backyard wood-fired oven. But how do I bake this build into my budget? Where can I get some solid guidance on my finances? Who can help me understand if I have the dough for this?
A little financial advice. At Regions, we know that's important because your Life Green checking account comes with Greenprint, financial planning with a banker who will help you create a personal budget and live in the moment. Make your appointment at regions.com/Greenprint. Regions Bank, member FDIC.
It's the official Bud Light Preds watch party as the Nashville Predators take on the Boston Bruins this Saturday. Puck drops at noon, but the party starts at 11:30 with all kinds of specials. See you at headquarters, Beercade, downtown Nashville on 2nd Avenue. Go Preds!
Spring Hill Heating and Cooling is here to serve you. Is your AC or heating unit old and inefficient? Is it breaking down yearly? Now is the time to replace it. With Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, get a unit that lasts with their 10-year parts and labor warranty. Get ahead of the game now and call Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, offering 60 months no-interest financing and 10 years parts and labor warranty on all new units. Restrictions apply and not available on all equipment. Schedule now at springhillac.com or call 615-778-8855.
This is Stan Harrison, CEO of Apple Collision Centers. We understand that no one likes to deal with auto body repair and the inconvenience it becomes in your day-to-day life. I want to personally invite you to stop by and let our experienced staff see how we can help you make your vehicle look good as new. Apple Collision Center has 3 convenient locations, Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin, ready to serve you. Come by and see us or visit us online at applecollisioncenters.com.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good, really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless, now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Dashboard light problems? We can help. Our free Fix Finder service can read your check engine light, ABS light, and service indicator light, and give you possible solutions, verified by licensed technicians. You'll even get detailed results sent straight to your email so you have them when you need it most. It's the most complete free warning light report backed by technician-verified fixes. The free Fix Finder service, only at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
More details at AutoZone.com.
ESPN's Turon Davenport breaks down the Titans like no other.
On the field chemistry, I don't think it's going to be a problem. It's just going to be a process.
Catch TD Mondays at 11, Thursdays at 3, and Fridays at 8. Plus, the Talking with TD podcast drops every Wednesday.
When you draft players, it's not just for one season, it's for a career.
Presented by FreedomTireGuys.com, Nashville's premier mobile tire company, and Craneworks and Rentalworks, your source for crane and equipment rental. Visit Craneworks.com, Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, this is Roman Yossi. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Still in the company, we are live inside the Patron Platinum Club at Bridgestone Arena. So I'm sitting here minding my own business. Preds play a red-hot Colorado team. Preds are red-hot, and they've got all the TVs in here in the Patron Platinum Club as people enjoy their evenings before the game. And I see my buddy Jamison Coyle on NHL Network, and all of a sudden I see Hal Gill next to him. And I'm like, wait a minute, Hal Gill on NHL Network? Hal's going on NHL. He's coming on our show. Now I kind of feel like Jameson one-up me, so I'm a little hurt. But Hal Gill joins us now on the program, high above the ice at Bridgestone Arena, presented by Dunkin'. Everybody knows Hal Gill loves Dunkin'. Hal Gill brought to you by Dunkin', featuring their newest location at 500 Cool Springs Boulevard, the next-gen location at 500 Cool Springs Boulevard. Hal, tonight's a big one against Colorado. It feels like a playoff preview, and I will say this. The Predators are out of their minds right now with how they've played. Everybody's happy about it, but there's a sense when it comes to Colorado that they're still probably the class of this division and maybe the class of this conference. How big of a game is tonight as kind of a measuring stick for where the Predators are?
Yeah, I think it's huge. I think if you want to win this division, this is the team that you're going to have to battle through. They're when they're clicking on all cylinders and they're healthy, they can do some damage. Offensively, they're fast. I don't think there's a team in the league with as much speed off the rush and on the attack. So the Preds better be ready for this one. This is going to be a good test, and I think the Preds are ready for it. They've won in different ways on the last road trip. They're redefining constantly what their identity is, and they're going to have to do it again tonight.
If you were playing on the Predators tonight and you've won all these games and you're kind of in a comfortable position, though if you look at the division, really nothing is comfortable. But if you've accomplished a lot already so far, but you get this kind of game, this opponent. Now, it's not going to be the last time you ever play Colorado, and you very easily could see them in the playoffs. But how excited would you be going up? You're a defensive guy, going up against guys like McKinnon. I know that Landeskog is out tonight, but against that kind of squad, what would the excitement level be for the Predators to prove themselves tonight?
Well, that was my job, right, to play against the best and try to shut down the best offensive players in the game. So for me personally, I'd be jacked up. This would be a huge test and something I'd want to rise up to as a team. I think they have to be coming back home. You know, you had that 3-game trip, and although it was only 3 games, it felt like a long time. It was some hard battles that they won. You come back home and this is when you start to look at the standings a little bit, and you say, okay, who do we have to beat? And this is the team. And so, all the wins that you get, you beat up on Arizona, and that's great. You want to get those points. That's 2 huge points. But if you want to be anything, you're going to have to beat these guys. And so I think these guys are going to be jacked up for it. This is going to be a big one. It's going to be a lively atmosphere here at Bridgestone. I think this is going to be all your money's worth and then some.
Why are the Predators playing so well if you had to put your finger on it, as opposed to just saying, okay, obviously Philip Forsberg's playing well. Now I know he's on the COVID list, so he's going to be out tonight. But not just, this guy's playing well, that guy, but kind of what is the identity that has allowed them to play as well as that they're playing, and the fact that it has also been an extended period of time that they have played this well?
Well, you stole my answer. You used identity. You can talk about UC Saros and how great he is. You can talk about Yossi and Tanner Jeannot, Phil Forsberg, Mikhail Granlund, Duchesne is scoring, Johansson's playing well. You can go up and down the lineup, and everyone is playing well, but it comes down to that identity that they don't waver from their game plan. They battle through everything. If the game isn't going their way, more than likely you're going to see a big hit in a fight within 5 minutes. And they recognize when their game is slumping, and they get back and they're physically involved and they impose their will on other teams. And I don't think that's been the case for a few years in Nashville. I think this is a team that takes a lot of pride in fighting and battling for each other. So they're giving themselves a chance to win every night with that mentality. And then they're, defining their identity has been, okay, we're going to be strong and good in close games. And so they're competing to stay in games, and they're good when it comes down to playing close games. So in the end, that comes out to wins, and they've been good, and they need to continue it. It's one of those things where I say you're always evolving with your identity, because it can turn around pretty quick. Your mojo can slip away, and they know that against a team tonight that they can't waver from it. They have to stick to their identity in order to get these 2 points. And if they do get that, they have that good sense that, all right, we're a legit team now. And so they know that, and they're aware of it, and they need to go out and perform.
Hal Gill's our guest. So our former colleague here at 102.5, Derek Mason, was the sixth receiver at a point on the Titans. He was their punt returner and kick returner. And the Titans had a bunch of injuries. Derek Mason ended up starting in the lineup, and all of a sudden sets an NFL record for all-purpose yards in a season and becomes a number 1 wide receiver. There may be some, I've been wrong about things in my life. This Tanner Jeannot thing may be something that I've never been more wrong about in my life, in the fact that he felt like the way that they treated him over the years, kind of like an organizational guy. He's an undrafted guy, and he goes through the minors, and he's at Milwaukee, and he's on the taxi squad, and then all of a sudden they have a rash of injuries last year. He gets in there, and he plays okay. And sometimes you can play okay, and that can be like a 10-game thing, or like the bottom 6 guys have played well. Trennan's played great. Sissons has played great. But we've seen Austin Watson play great for a little bit, but we kind of knew what Austin Watson was. This Tanner Jeannot, you brought him up earlier. I mean, this may be the most wrong I've ever been about anything. I couldn't believe when they protected him, and all of a sudden, he might win the Rookie of the Year this year. How did this come about? Because, again, in my head, in Nashville sports, I got to go back 20 years to find, like, the last example of a guy who kind of got into their opportunity and just not only made the most of it and earned a roster spot, but almost became a star. I'm not ready to say that for Jeannot yet. I think there's a lot more, that he's got to do, or do it a little bit longer in order to be a star. But he certainly played like it so far this season.
Yeah, well, he's got he has the total package. He's tough, he's physical, he can skate. He skates like the wind. He's got a good stride. He's strong on his edges. He's got good hands around the net. He's got a good shot. He's kind of the total package. But what he does that a lot of guys can't do as a rookie is he has an impact every night. That's the big thing. We're looking at his scoring now and going, okay, this guy's legit. But right when he got into the lineup, you're like, wow, this guy is doing something. He is turning games around with a big hit or a tenacious forecheck. He's kind of doing everything, and now he's not only killing penalties, but killing a majority of the penalty time. He's been a rock there. He's blocking shots. So, it's rare that a rookie can come in and give you something every shift and give you something that at the end of every game you go, he had an impact. And so, give it to David Poyle and his staff and the brass that knew that he had that in him. Because to me, he looked like, okay, this guy can skate. He can get there on time and he can finish his hits. But, I don't know why they're protecting him against the expansion draft. Mm-hmm. And now he comes out this season, he gets some confidence, and he's still playing that same role. It's not like he's going out there trying to be fancy. He's playing the same role and getting rewarded with points. So that's encouraging on so many levels. And, he's my Rookie of the Year Calder Trophy winner front runner right now. These other guys, Trevor Zegras and Lucas Raymond, they're good. They're skilled players, but Tanner Jeannot has an impact every night, and that's tough to do in the NHL.
I mean, I was thinking about this as you were talking. I like the amount of money. If Tanner Jeannot, let's say Tanner Jeannot does this all of this year and all of next year, and he hits the market, and I don't know when he's a free agent, but just using that as an example, that's a $7 million player. I mean, and it's crazy to me because – again, like normally these guys are on some kind of prospect list or high draft picks or something. Like Philip Forsberg was a high draft pick. Ryan Johansson, high draft pick. Matt Duchene, high draft pick. Tanner Jeannot was an undrafted free agent. That's the thing for me that's like, this guy just came out of nowhere. If this were baseball, Hal, I'd be like, oh, yeah, he must be using steroids. I mean, like that's what it feels like with his impact for this team. Tonight against Colorado, I know you're fired up. To me, this is a big prove-it matchup. It's a nice measuring stick matchup. My question is this. What are you looking forward to the most when these two teams tee it up to say, okay, this is what I want to see tonight?
Well, as a fan of hockey, it's always fun. Nathan McKinnon is a guy that is so fast and so dominating offensively. The second he touches the puck, it's like, whoa, this might be a scoring chance. And so I'm excited for that. Cale Makar is, I think I put him and Yossi as the two, well, certainly the two most fun to watch defensemen. I mean, these guys are going to be very apparent when they're on the ice. You're going to know that they're out there. And so we have the stars matched up against each other and guys that are playing really well. But team-wise, I think these are it's going to be an interesting matchup because Colorado's got so much speed, so much attack, and the Preds are trying to work a forecheck. And so I think the battle is going to be one between the Preds forecheck and the ability for guys like Cale Makar to go back and get pucks and move it up and get onto the offense. So I'm excited for, as an X's and O's guy, that's going to be the battle for me. I think there's a lot of different levels of excitement that'll be in this game, but it'll be fast, it'll be hard, physical. I think this is going to have a good mix of everything. So as a hockey fan, this is one you don't want to miss.
Hal Gill, as always, he'll be on the call tonight with Max Hers, who will be making his NHL debut with Hal. What's it feel like? You were the rookie a couple years ago, and now you got Max in the booth with you tonight.
I'm just telling him, usually Pete Weber is just bossing me around all the time, but now I'm just pushing him around, telling him what to do. You
treat him like a rookie.
I don't know what.
Like the way it was when you were in the league?
I really don't know what to do. So
there's some truth there.
No, it's fun. We're gonna have some fun here. This is a great game to jump into. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'll try to keep Max on the rails.
Sounds good. Hal Gill, as always, presented by Duncan. Check out their new location, their new next-gen location at 500 Cool Springs Boulevard. Predators game day. You heard Hal talk about it. That's next here. Stillman and Company. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
Another mainly clear evening turning into a clear night as temperatures drop back to around the freezing mark. On our way to the mid-50s for Wednesday, we'll look for mainly sunny skies. For Fox 17, I'm Chief Meteorologist Katie Morgan.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Mow, dig, haul, lift. The versatile Kubota BX Series subcompact tractor does it all. Easy to switch attachments, a smooth hydrostatic transmission. The BX Series is part of our under 100 horsepower tractor lineup rated #1 for reliability. Talk to your local Kubota dealer today to schedule a demo. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Come see why Coleman Tractor Company is one of the largest Kubota dealers in Middle Tennessee, Paris, Clarksville, Nashville, and their new location in White House.
Get some relief from the wintry mix outside with the hottest deals at Electronic Express. Deals are heating up on all 4K TVs, computers and gaming, smart home, housewares, and more. Avoid the roads with in-stock and ready-to-deliver appliances. Up to 40% off brands like LG, Whirlpool, GE, Samsung, and more. Plus, get up to 36 months free financing. The prices are falling faster than the snow at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Do you really want to go through another year with that awful joint pain? Well, don't do it. Resolve right now to get yourself moving again for 2022. Willie Donick here. It's time to call the folks at QC Kinetics. Non-surgical regenerative treatments for joint pain. We're talking lasting results using natural biologics. No surgery, no pain meds, no steroids, and no downtime. This is really exciting stuff. Regenerative, restorative treatments that actually encourage your body to heal itself using highly concentrated natural biologics. Patients rave about it for hip pain relief, knee pain relief, shoulder and back pain relief. Don't let them give you the steroids. Don't let them tell you your surgery is the only option. Get a free second opinion at QC Kinetics and do it now. And imagine life in 2022 without pain. Call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics. 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024 for QC Kinetics.
Darren McFarland.
He's cool. He's got a personality, and they make fun of him.
Willie Donick.
Would this be a fun guy to come to work and hang around with all day?
Chase McCabe.
They're just like, hey, we need you to play yourself.
Darren, Donick, and Chase have you covered weekdays from 10 to 2. Presented by Curacion CBD on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
You're listening to Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving.
It's Hockey Night in Smashville.
Deflects back for Duchesne. His shot stopped, and the score!
What are the keys to victory tonight? What's being said in the locker room? Where do the Preds reside in the Central Division standings? Jared Stillman has the latest now. With Preds Game Day on Stillman and Company. Brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. This is Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Predators Game Day presented by Pella Windows and Doors. Darren McFarland is here to take over in about 6 minutes or so to get you set for Preds and Avalanche, a Central Division showdown. The Predators 22-11-2, good for 48 points. The Avalanche 21-8-2, good for 44 points on the year. The Predators are red hot. They're fifth in the NHL in power play percentage, operating at 26.4%. That could be a big part of the game tonight. But we start with the coach's take. John Hines on the challenge against Colorado.
Well, it's certainly looking to embrace the challenge. I mean, Colorado's playing really well. I think we've played some good hockey, and watching them play last night and just a little bit on video and some pre-scouting. I mean, they're a lot to handle. They have a lot of highly talented players. They play a certain style of game that you can see that the team is all on page with, and they present a lot of different challenges. But we're excited. I mean, this is a game where we're going to have to be at our best to win the hockey game. And that's what you want. You want to be able to get tested and see how you perform and play your best at key times against really good teams. So I'm really looking forward to competing here tonight.
You can make it out however you want it to be about what makes the best team in the NHL. And with the COVID cancellations and everything else and so many games in hand and things like that, it's hard to get a grasp for it. But point percentage, Colorado leads the Western Conference at 719. The Predators are second at 667. So this could be the two best teams in the Western Conference tonight. Taking a look at the standings, the Predators are technically in first place, though they've got 4 games in hand on the Avalanche. As mentioned, the Predators 23-11-2, good for 48 points. The St. Louis Blues 1 point behind the Predators. They've also played 36 games. 2 points behind is Colorado with 4 games in hand. And with 3 games in hand and 4 points behind are the Minnesota Wild, Winnipeg 37, Dallas 36, Chicago 29, and Arizona, whom the Predators just thumped and demolished at 17. Again, the Predators at a .667 point percentage. That's second. Minnesota also has .667, and the best in the Pacific Division is Vegas at .618. So you really are tonight looking at the 2 best teams in the Western Conference. Meanwhile, the Predators are going to be without leading goal scorer Philip Forsberg, who is in the COVID-19 protocol. Gabriel Landeskog is in the protocol as well. Meanwhile, for the Predators, Ryan Johansson tallied 2 assists on Saturday at Arizona for his 9th multi-point game of the season. Johansson's second assist was his 300th point as a member of the Predators. In 432 games with the franchise, he's posted 82 goals and 218 assists. Darren McFarland is next. Max Hers will have the call with Hal Gill right here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. We'll have a full reaction and see you tomorrow at